Bring this chopper down. I'm Captain Randy Carricker. I'm 101 ESPN Jet Copter 2.
Randy, it seemed a little rough up there. How was it?
Is that scary?
It's scary. It could rain.
Is that the first time our YouTube viewers can see the Jet Copter 2? Is we up and running?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
There we go.
I hope so. I hope they heard the Jet Copter going.
Yeah.
It was very important.
We got to get this out there. And by the way, if you don't have a phone, I'll tell you what the weather's going to be today. I'm assuming you have a phone.
Who doesn't have a phone?
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of weird. Who doesn't? You're right.
I wish sometimes I didn't have one.
Me too.
Throw this thing out the window.
But you know what? No, you don't. I tried to do that.
Disconnected from.
I tried to go back to a flip phone, and
Go
you
off
just
the
can't
grid.
do it. I mean, you can't get into a Cardinal game. You got tickets on your phone.
Yeah.
But then it's like more fun with the flip phones. When you're angry, you can just slam it, you know?
That's true, yeah.
You can just be like, you know what? And then just slam it
Well, they're
shut
bringing
like
back
that.
flip phones now.
I've seen them trying. I don't know if people are going to fully buy into that.
Flips the horizontally.
Costas had a flip phone until like 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So anyway,
the Texans don't, though.
The rain is going to stop at 1 p.m. High today of 85 degrees. It'll be beautiful in the afternoon. Might be kind of soupy. But throughout the course of the morning, as you listen to us, as you drive to work, it is going to rain.
That was the best Tempe impression I think I've ever heard.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, might as well throw you up on the Weather Channel
Tempe.
there.
I could be their 34th meteorologist.
They do have quite a few,
They
huh?
do. And then they promote them.
Yes.
Pretty amazing. In a stunning development, the Cardinals lost last night. What? They did.
No.
They did. They did. However, that being said, our guy, number 27, he did this.
Driven toward right. That's well hit. Kepler going back. That ball is gone. Tyler O'Neill has made it a one-run game.
He made it 3-2, and that's the way it finished. Cool thing about Tyler O'Neill, though, he circled the bases. He ran the whole time, and he was healthy when it ended.
That's the most important thing. And for the Cardinals, it's going to be the most important thing going forward for the rest of the season.
I said yesterday 15-40. Now I'm saying 15-39.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yes, you already got one of the losses out of the way.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay.
Miles Michaelis was good, though, wasn't he?
He was good. He gave you 7 innings and did pretty well. This is going to be a rough into the season. This last month and a half is going to be hard to watch. We're gonna have to endure and go through it. And again, it's just going to be about guys staying healthy. I think Tyler O'Neill is going to be a key cog for this team going forward because I think they still have this logjam in the outfield. You still got 5 outfielders last time I checked. And that was one of the issues going into the trade deadline. It's one of the issues that they had pretty much all season long. I think Tyler O'Neill, if healthy and continues to play as well as he's played since he's gotten back from the IL, he could potentially be traded at the end of the season in free agency. So you are looking for guys to stay healthy, play well, and Dylan Carlson, Alec Burleson probably be the odd men out for a while. They'll get their opportunities here and there, but you got to go with those 3: Newt, Jordan Walker, and Tyler O'Neill in the outfield, and see what you got.
And Brooke, no Brendan Donovan for the rest of the season.
No Brendan Donovan. That's really tough. It's tough to see that he's going to go need surgery, but that seemed like the best option. What worried me is that it was taking a little bit too long for them to come to that decision. I know that Brendan has to come to that decision as well of if he wants to undergo surgery, but them doing that at least puts him on track to be ready for spring training this coming year.
The manager of the Cardinals, Carlos Marmol. He was a pitcher for the Cubs, Carlos Marmol. Oliver Marmol. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going there. Oliver Marmol yesterday asked about when it became clear that a guy that can't throw can't play in the major leagues.
It was, the throwing program didn't go as planned, and we shut that down and just allowed him to DH. And this is what I love about Donnie. He could have pulled the plug weeks ago and didn't, just because he wanted to be able to give us the longest shot possible. And he did a really nice job during that stretch as just a DH. This guy's a competitor. He's a winner. Will do anything for the club, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks. But it got to the point where if we were going to make that decision, it needed to be now in order for him to be ready for spring training.
That's a smart move on the part of the Cardinals. And many times they are very conservative in their approach to getting surgeries done. I really like this approach. Get it done. You're not going anywhere the rest of the season. And allow him to be as healthy as he can be come spring training time.
Yeah, and you were talking about log jams, CD. This also allows for maybe some more opportunities for, you know who, Mason Wynn to come up and possibly.
I thought you were going with Motter.
No, he's here now.
He is here now. He's there. He is there. That is for sure.
Leading this team, we might add. Excuse us. Come on, last night. Come on.
Great game last night.
Gosh.
That's a good game.
Show some respect for Tomater.
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 Tomater. I don't know how to say it.
Taylor Motter, he is here, but
You can say that for him.
I didn't see. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying he's here.
He scored a run last night, had 2 hits. Did fantastic.
There we go.
When the 6th inning started, the Cardinals had 2 hits. Taylor Motter had 2 hits.
That's
See?
good.
Show
There
the
you
man
go.
some respect, Brooke. He's here.
And that's what I said. He's here.
He's pacing this offense right now.
Doing a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Any more games, he's going to play at second base.
Pacing this
Nolan
offense.
Gorman was out again last night.
What happened
I
with him?
heard he had a back issue.
Really? How long has he had that,
About a
Kerry?
week back.
No. No.
That might be a record.
Yeah, 707.
That's too soon. 7:07 is too soon. I texted in group chat last night. You guys actually didn't make one bag joke yesterday. There was times, there was opportunities, and it didn't happen. And I was just sitting there waiting for the moment, waiting for the
Proud of
moment,
you,
and it
Randy.
never came up.
We're back on the bike now. We're going to be fine. The Cardinals did complete the trade deadline yesterday. They sent Paul DeJong to the Blue Jays, 3rd deal with the Blue Jays in a week. And Paulie D goes there in exchange for right-hander Matt Swanson. This is like having, it's weird, having Matt Swanson and Oscar Sundqvist in the same town.
The letters that just
The V stands for you.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it.
We were continuing to add to the all-time names list, as CD and I were talking about on Monday. We were just adding and adding and adding to this all-time
make sure we get those
names
understood
list.
and pronounced correctly.
Exactly.
It's very important.
The other move that the Cardinals made after that was trading Jack Flaherty to the Orioles in exchange for lefty Drew Rom, infielder Cesar Prieto, and right-hander Zach Showalter, who is no relation to Buck Showalter.
I was wondering that. I thought maybe that was his son.
I was wondering that too. Grandson, something
Grandson.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
son's
So
grandson.
Zach Showalter makes his way to the Cardinals, who wind up trading 6 players and getting 10 back. Those that were sent out, of course, Genesis Cabrera was the first, and then Jordan Hicks, Stratton, Montgomery, DeYoung, and Flaherty. And we're going to talk about this in the 7:30 segment, but they got 10 guys back, and we're going to run that down. A lot of other action yesterday, though, and the biggest news, of course, was the Mets, who spent $355 million before this season started, waving the white flag by sending last year's American League Cy Young Award winner Justin Verlander back to Houston, where he won that Cy Young Award last year.
I got to give it to Steve Cohen, though. I mean, when you are, I told you, I like to gamble, Randy. I do enjoy going to the casino from time to time. But one thing I learned, when you get your money in there, you get your money taken, you get up and walk away. You don't keep putting money down. You just go ahead and leave. And so Steve Cohen, knowing that he was going to pay them much more over the next couple of years, hey, you know what? I'll just pay half of that. I'll take some of that off of our books, trade them away, and we'll get some pieces back to help us get better. And again, I'm sure Mets fans are
Furious.
sick. They are frustrated. But I think this was the right decision. It was going nowhere fast for them, and you had to make a decision. You had to make a hard left turn and make a decision, and he did that. And so hopefully they'll get better because of it. But, you know, he also allowed some other teams in the AL Central to get better as well.
Well, and the other part of it is, when he bought the team and had his initial press conference, he said, we're going to win a World Series within 3 to 5 years. This is year 3, and Max Scherzer says yesterday, well, I talked to the general manager, and I said, are you guys trying to win in 2024? And he said, no. He said, we're probably gunning towards 26, 25 if things really go well, but we're trying to win in 2026. That's what he told Max Scherzer on the way out the door.
Ooh, that is rough. Does that make you a tad bit concerned? Because what do the Cardinals now need to do? Now that we know what has happened with the trade deadline, what do we know that they need to do during the offseason?
They need to add pitching.
And
How does
spend
that
a
happen?
lot of money? And
Well,
what happened with the Mets?
but
They
how
spent
does-
a lot
how
of
do-
money.
How does spending money help you win, though?
And that's the point that
Spending
it is.
it properly.
Yes.
It's like the Padres did. There you go.
Well, no, not like the Padres and not like the Mets.
the Mets?
Spending it
Oh.
properly. And, you know, I said the AL Central, I meant the AL West. what those two teams got in the Rangers and the Astros, they got two great pitchers, and they're going to be fighting it out, duking it out to the end of the season, trying to win that AL West. And the Cardinals are going to have to do something this offseason in terms of free agency, whether it's via trade, moving some pieces to another team and doing it that way. They have to figure some things out. You got 3 slots right now that are open in terms of your starting rotation for 2024. You don't know. Hopefully some of these young guys that they brought in trade, or some of the young guys that they already have in the minor leagues, they can show and prove that they are worthy of being a 5th starter and do a good job for this team in 2024.
And hopefully they'll have somebody that can help those young pitchers get better. I think that's been one of the problems that I see with the Cardinals, and I don't know if it's an institutional issue with the way they develop players and bring them along, but the fact of the matter is, if you look at the young Cardinals starting pitchers, they have not performed very well, and so they need to perform better. You compare the success of young Cardinal pitchers to the young Astros pitchers that have come up. Framber Valdez threw a no-hitter last night. To the young Braves pitchers, to the young pitchers pitching in Tampa Bay, for what the young pitchers that pitch in LA. For whatever reason, the Cardinal young pitchers, when they get here, they just aren't that great.
Well, and Derek Gould, we can touch on this a little bit later, but Derek Gould of the Post-Dispatch, I sent you guys the article last night. He actually has a great story about how the erosion when it comes to the pitching staff and the prospects coming up has been happening over the last few years, and how it's just a culmination of what we're seeing this season is things that have been building up over time with the pipeline system and what we're seeing with the pitching staff this past season. It's a very, very interesting piece because it shows how deep this is, which you can look at this being a positive with these prospects they added. 4 of these prospects that they've added via trade are, I believe, right now in the top 10 of the Cardinals MLB pipeline rankings. That's pretty good.
I wonder if that tells you about where the Cardinal system was, too.
Well, the Orioles system is
loaded. 9 of the top 100 coming into the season.
Yes.
And, oh, by the way, the Cardinals have graduated so many guys to the majors. When you graduate Walker and Gorman over the last 2 years, you think about bringing up Walker, Gorman, Donovan. Alec Burleson was a highly rated player. Liberatore is still highly rated. So the Cardinals they're still they might have even gotten younger. They might be the youngest team in the National League now. We're off and running here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, it is Hump Day, and that means it's Ask Uncle Randy Day. You can text in to our Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. That's 314-399-YOHO. If you're using the little keypad on your phone, YOHO is Yoho. That's where Yoho came from. But it's a stormy day here in St. Louis, but we're closing in on the end of summer, kids. And if you got any questions about the end of summer, if you got any questions about your Cardinals, hey, here's all you need to do, okay? And Brooke, you weren't here, so you can't relate to this.
Okay.
But if you want to mentally prepare yourself for the rest of this baseball season, just channel the 2007 through 2011 St. Louis Rams.
You don't. I mean, I was not here. Physically, I was playing in Pittsburgh, but I saw
beating them. You were beating them.
the hell out of them. And we came here in 07 and took care of business.
15-65, baby.
Yeah, it was good fun.
No, I don't want to do that again.
You get what you got to channel.
I don't want to do that again.
It's going to be rough.
That was rough.
The good thing is they know how to do it. You've been there before.
You know how hard it is to go through high school and those Rams teams at the same time?
Yeah.
Mentally prepare yourself.
There you go.
That's all I'm saying. It's Ask Uncle Randy next on 101 ESPN. If you have a question for Uncle Randy or Uncle Carrie or Cousin Brooke, feel free to text us. 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. We would love to hear from you on this Wednesday Ask Uncle Randy. Gloomy day in St. Louis. Hope wherever you are, the sun is going to shine and it's going to be a beautiful day. But if you're in St. Louis, it's probably not going to happen until this afternoon. All right, what do we have on the text line there, Matthew?
I love it when it's overcast. Dear Uncle Randy, my wife is due with our firstborn any day now. Congratulations. My work offers 12 weeks of paternity leave. However, I'm also on the verge of being promoted. Do I take the full 12 weeks and risk being passed up for said promotion, or do I cut my leave short?
12 weeks?
12 weeks is a lot.
Wow. But that's even better than some maternity leave.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
I, in my own personal viewpoint, would not take the full 12 weeks if there was a chance that it could cause me to be passed up for the promotion. And obviously, I don't know what your bride does and what her situation is, but if you have the ability to have her be at home, for example, if she only gets 6 weeks of maternity leave and you can get 12, you want as much parent time with your kid as possible. But if she's going to be at home with said child, then my recommendation would be to take 4 or 6 and then move on and hope that you can get your promotion. So that's a pretty good deal, though, the 12 weeks.
Six sounds pretty good.
Yep, and again, if your wife has to go back and doesn't get as much time as you, the key thing is to have as much parent time with the kids as possible and keep them away from whatever daycare it is, unless it's grandparents.
Would that be a conversation you have with your boss, knowing that the promotion is on the horizon? Hey, I know this is an opportunity here. We are due here in a few days. I do need to spend time with my newborn child and my wife.
Yeah.
But I don't want to miss out on this opportunity that I know is probably available for me.
Yeah, that's a smart move to take. I got a day, by the way, of paternity leave when my kids were born. Day.
You went to New Orleans the next day.
I did. Okay, I did. Yeah, but it wasn't. I was working, Carrie. It wasn't a vacation. I was working. Came back
So much
here.
has changed, right?
It's changed a lot in 25 years.
I would love to know what the maternity leave is like for this company.
Yeah, really.
12 weeks for paternity leave. Wow.
Pretty good.
The shocking thing is I'm not shocked that we got negative texts about that there being that much paternity leave. People get angry when there's paternity leave. Not just when it's a baseball player missing a game for it. People legitimately get angry when they hear about paternity leave.
I have so many questions about people and
God forbid there's a good...
I would like to be in some people's lives, just watch
No,
their
you
life for
wouldn't, CD.
one day.
No,
I don't
you
need
wouldn't.
more than that.
Truman Show.
I just want to just peek in just one day. I don't need to see the weird stuff, but just the normal, your everyday stuff where you...
How angry they are.
Minded BS. What is this? Oh, back in the 60s, we drank beer and had kids and left the next day.
I just don't get
Words
it.
wrong for the kid to be born.
It was also the 90s.
Why would you
We
not?
also didn't have water
Yeah.
when I first started playing football, and then people started dying, and they started giving you water breaks.
Wait, you're not one of those wimpy coaches that lets their kid drink.
Oh yeah, we drink water.
What the?
I'm sorry.
I would
I'm sorry to
hope
hear
so.
that.
I
Like
just
if it's
think,
raining,
why would
if
you
it's raining,
not?
they can tip their
There
hand,
you go.
right?
It's true.
Okay.
It's okay. We could go on.
Dear Uncle Randy, I recently got promoted and my wife hates her job. She wants to quit and now work again, stating my salary can cover everything, which is true. The kids are teenagers. What should we do?
If she wants to retire, let her retire. Simple. Yeah. If you can cover everything. And I mean, why should she work if she hates it and doesn't have to? It's pretty simple, I think. Right? Anybody
Sounds
disagree?
like it. No, I mean, if you are comfortable, if you all are both comfortable with that, yeah. Now, if it's a struggle and you're struggling, to take care of the home and pay the bills, then yeah, you might have to have a conversation. But if you're working anyways and she's like, hey, you know what, this is too much. I'd rather take care of the home and make sure everything is good when you get home.
Absolutely.
Dear Uncle Randy, how do I convince myself that investing in season tickets for the Cardinals is not a bad decision for my business? I'm having trouble giving away the tickets right now. When the Cardinals say it's just business and trade away assets that will save them over $10 million this year, and yet do nothing for the fans, when is it time for me to say it's also just business?
Well, I think if you're a longtime season ticket holder, then you're logical and rational, and you understand that the Cardinals had assets that were going to walk out the door, and they weren't going to get anything back in return for Montgomery or Hicks or DeYoung or who am I leaving out here?
Hicks,
Stratton,
DeYoung, Montgomery.
Chris
yeah.
Stratton. So
Cabrera.
if you're a longtime season ticket holder, as somebody who is a longtime observer, and I've watched the DeWitt ownership, I give them the benefit of the doubt. Yes, they've done some really, well, I think they've been passed up by a lot of people, but that doesn't mean they're passed up forever. Now, if you are all about just being there for winning, then you should have enjoyed the last 25 years under the DeWitt, 96 to 06, 16, whatever, 25 years. You should have enjoyed it. But I think that, and as a season ticket holder, I know you go to those functions with John Mozeliak. You should listen to him and then make your decision based upon what he says to you.
Uncle Randy, going on a golf trip to Michigan next weekend with 4 buddies, 3 courses in 2 days. Any advice?
Have a great time. Yeah, pace yourself. Don't drink too much beer.
Drink a lot of water.
Yeah, 4 courses in 3 days.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Especially if it's hot.
Yeah, no, but and in Michigan, it's going to be beautiful. And savor it. Just take a lot of pictures and have a great time.
Enjoy.
That's a lot of golf in 2 days.
It is.
It's great. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Don't take too many practice swings. Don't want to build up the blisters. Uncle Randy, is it reasonable to trace some of the Cardinals' pitching issues back to the departure of Dave Duncan? It seems like he got most out of the staff, and they've been treading water ever since.
Well, that's 12 years ago. And they did go to an NLCS and they had a record-setting year in 2015 when he wasn't here. Their pitching did. And then in 2019, obviously, they went to the NLCS. So I don't think that we can trace it all back to the departure of Dave Duncan. Dave Duncan was a great pitching coach. However, as was told to me one time, the cemeteries are full of indispensable people. The Cardinals need to get somebody who's better at developing their young pitchers and providing a roadmap to victory than what they appear to have right now.
I agree with that. Yeah, just getting guys that are able to speak to guys, speak life into them, allow them to play the game that they want to play and teach them the right way to be a pro.
All right, any more?
Yes, dear Uncle Randy, how relieved do you think Brooke and the Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation were when Newt Bar was not traded at 5 o'clock?
How about those Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation? They happy?
Oh, yeah. They're very happy.
Did you guys have like an emergency get-together, little party?
Yeah.
Some chips and punch out there? Just, you gotta celebrate. Your boy's here.
Some Newt Bar candy.
Everyday center fielder?
Nougats.
Nougats.
Nougat candy.
He's got to start churning that out.
I think
He's
he
got to find
does
a
have
deal.
a candy bar somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
Good.
We don't need like a local deal. We need Hershey's, like Mars, or whatever the other companies are. Nestle. There are other chocolate companies I'm forgetting.
How about Bessinger's?
Oh my God,
Ooh,
that would be
a great partnership.
Yeah. Let's do it here in St. Louis. All right, thank you, Matthew.
That would be a wildly delicious thing. Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your texts. We do appreciate it. Coming up, the Cardinals move 6 guys and get 10 back in return. A recap of the trade deadline moves, and we'll hear a little bit of what John Mozeliak had to say next on 101 ESPN. Hey, Cardinal fans, I have an exciting scoop for you from our friends at Schnucks. They have a fun new ice cream flavor that you're going to love. The Schnucks Cardinals Cherry Crunch Ice Cream exclusively at Schnucks. It's really awesome. It's cherry and vanilla pudding swirled ice cream, red and white for the Cardinals, of course, sprinkled with candy-coated graham cracker pieces that bring the crunch. It's absolutely delicious. And it's real ice cream. That's because Schnucks uses real milk and real cream. And wait until you see the Cardinal baby blues on the packaging. You're going to love it. You can find it in the frozen aisle at your local Schnucks. And while you're there, take a look at all the other unique flavors of Schnucks ice cream that there are. Just look for the red Schnucks circle on the carton. Ice cream and the Cardinals. Is there a better summer combo? Schnucks didn't think so, and that's why they made Schnucks Cardinals Cherry Crunch Ice Cream. So root for the Redbirds with scoops of Schnucks Cardinals Cherry Crunch Ice Cream exclusively at Schnucks. And don't forget, before you head on into the store, download that Schnucks Rewards app. Get 2% back on everything you buy, including your Cardinals Cherry Crunch Ice Cream at Schnucks.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals in action last night. Before they were in action, they made a couple trades, including Jack Flaherty traded to the Orioles for 3 prospects: infielder Cesar Pietro, left-handed pitcher Drew Rom, and right-handed pitcher Zach Showalter. And then in the game last night against the Twins, the Cardinals fall short 3-2, just 7 hits from the offense total. They did get some offense from Tyler O'Neill, who hit a home run as part of his return. Also, Cardinals back in action tonight, 6:45 first pitch. It'll be Joe Ryan, the righty for the Minnesota Twins, 9-7 on the season, just over a 4.0 ERA. He faces off against Dakota Hudson, the righty for the Cardinals, 1-0 on the season with a 4.19 ERA. Also last night in action, St. Louis City SC made a trade with the Colorado Rapids for Anthony Markovich, a left back. They traded away $75,000 in general allocation money and their 2024 first-round pick. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
All right, here's the way the trade deadline week went down for the Cardinals. Last week, they had DFA'd Genesis Cabrera, sent him to Toronto. This will become a recurring theme, by the way. The Cardinals designated him for assignment, and the Cardinals traded Cabrera to Toronto for minor league catcher Sammy Hernandez. Then, last Saturday, the Cardinals traded Jordan Hicks to Toronto for pitcher Sam Robertson.
Robertson.
I like
Robertson.
Robertson. I don't know.
That's fancy. There's so many different ways to say it. And here's the thing. He even says it differently depending on the year. So we don't know. It depends. I said eventually it's going to turn into Sam Robertson. Just it's going to get more and more closer.
Okay. So,
in the heart of America.
By the way, it's, I always say it's Sam. It's Sem, right?
It's Sem, yes.
Sem Robertson. Along with Adam.
You thought of Robertson.
You're already changing it.
Yeah, right.
Robertson.
Hi, this is Sam Robertson.
Robertson, whatever. It's Sem, whatever.
Whatever you say.
Yeah. And then Adam Klopfenstein, which brings some PTSD to the worst draft in NFL history, back to those who remember, for Joe Klopfenstein.
Yes.
Terrible. And then, Klopfenstein and Sam Robertson joined the Cardinals from the Toronto organization. Then the Cardinals got Tekoa Roby, John King, who pitched last night, and Thomas Sagessi?
Sagessi.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you going diving deep for these.
I went down a YouTube rabbit hole
Okay,
for
good.
sure.
So Roby, King, and Sagessi joined the Cardinals in exchange for Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton. Man, the guys we sent out have a lot easier pronunciations. And then Matt Savanson for Paul DeYoung. And then yesterday, Drew Rahm, Cesar Prieto, and Zach Showalter arrived to the Cardinals from Baltimore, from the Orioles, former St. Louis Browns, in exchange for Jack Flaherty. By the way, we do have a texter that says he'll be very glad when I don't say Flaherty anymore. So every time he pitches, every time he's scheduled to pitch, guess what you're going to hear? It's going to happen. So Mo told Jimmy the Cat Hayes last night on Bally Sports Midwest what he thought about the overall look of the deals the Cardinals made.
Well, if you think back to what our original strategy was, is we talked about getting pitching. And when you're going through this process, obviously you don't want to shortchange yourself. You don't want to overlook position player prospects in this process. But I do think the ability to get some higher level pitching that we should be able to see sometime as soon as this year and possibly next year will make an impact on this club. And I think that was really one of the underarching goals, if you will, of what we were trying to accomplish.
All right, guys, I have never seen these players play. I don't know. The Cardinals have scouts that watch them play that have a better idea than I do. But the way I look at this is the Cardinals had players that were not going to be back here. They were not going to re-sign any, well, Cabrera they could have kept, but they weren't going to re-sign any of the 5 that walked out the door. This essentially is people handing you lottery tickets. That's what it is.
It is. You have no idea where it's going to go, especially when it comes to pitching. Pitching seems to be a giant gamble. You hope some of these work out, but as you mentioned, these were expiring contracts. You had to do something with it. Would you have liked to be able to keep, especially your homegrown talent, you know, people that you worked on, Jordan Hicks, Jack Flaherty, of course, but I keep trying to, you know, really look at this as it's just 2 months of rentals. What just happened? Did my audio dip out? I was like, what happened? It was a lightning strike, probably. My electricity did go out briefly this morning. It scared me, but it freaked me out.
Okay. I'm here.
No?
I'm back.
You good? Okay.
good.
There's CD. There he is. We were all dipping out there for a minute. But you had to let go of the homegrown arms. But expiring contracts, you could look at them at just 2-month rentals or more for the other teams. You were at least able to get something in return.
And with the Flaherty deal, and that was a guy, can you imagine if Flaherty and Alex Reyes would have been healthy? I mean, that was supposed to be their 1-2 for 17, 18, 19, 20, and obviously that didn't work out. So Flaherty, who it always seemed to a lot of people had one foot out the door, moves on to Baltimore. And Mo was asked by Jimmy the Cat if indeed this was a last-minute deal.
There's a lot of balls in the air, and there's a lot of processes that have to go through. Like, once you agree on talent, then you have to go through some medical, and there's a lot of details that get into it. But yeah, it did get down to the wire, and I think a lot of us upstairs were getting a little nervous.
And one more thing from Mo, because he talked about how the Cardinals are gearing for 2024, which makes sense. Do any of the prospects that they got in these trades, any of these 10, help the club sooner rather than later?
We'll just see how things play out. I think a lot has happened in the last 72 hours. I think we have to take a step back, digest it, allow these guys to get to our minor league teams and see how they really look.
And I do believe, guys, that these circumstances, while quite distasteful for John Mozeliak, because he said it's the first time in 30 years that he's had to sell. But now all of a sudden, when you aren't the person having to make bids and say, okay, I'm going to part with this young player that I value for a veteran that I'm going to have for a couple of months, when all of a sudden you're the person that other teams are coming to and saying, okay, we want your veteran, and you say, okay, well, what do you got for me? I wonder how much stimulation you get from having something new happen like that.
I'm sure there was something. I mean, it's something that they haven't done, something that he hasn't done, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out. How any of these guys, who becomes a star, who becomes an everyday player, who becomes, that fifth starter, that middle reliever that you rely on in high leverage situations. What do these guys pan out to be? You don't know. They're all young. You got Roby is 21, Robersa is 21, Kloffenstein 22, Showalter 19, Rom is 23. They are all young men and still trying to sort their way through being a professional baseball player. So it's going to be intriguing to watch how this pans out and watch how these guys mature and if they become that guy that the Cardinals need them to become.
And hopefully figure out how to develop them at the minor league level, because that's going to be the big key. But also this indicates, too, you had option A and option B. If they were able to turn like maybe a bat. I know that there was a report that Dylan Carlson possibly was being looked at by the Yankees, but the Cardinals were wanting a starting pitcher in return. So that's possibly why that deal didn't work out among other reasons. But now it seems like you have to go spend a lot of money this winter when it comes to starting pitching. Mm-hmm. But somebody pointed this out on Twitter when I asked that question. They said, I think the fans' definition of spending big and the Cardinals' definition of spending big are two very different things. Do you agree with that, you guys?
I agree with that, but I do think the market kind of passed them by. I think they misread last year's market. I think that when John Mozeliak said, we expect our payroll to go up, that he legitimately thought that the price that they put on starting pitching was going to be that price and that they would be able to outbid somebody by a little. But then all of a sudden you have the Mets killing a fly with a sledgehammer with their signing of Verlander, and that brought everybody up. There's no way Carlos Rodon should have gotten the deal that he got. There's no way that Jose Quintana should have gotten the deal that he got. But all of a sudden you've got the Mets and Padres going crazy in free agency, and that lifts the cost of every single starting pitcher on the market. And the Cardinals have to understand now that the market has changed and what it takes to get a starting pitcher. You can't go out and get even Steven Matz anymore for 4 years over 44. I'll bet you Steven Matz now in the exact same situation would be double what he got. I would think that he would be 88 over 4 rather than 44 over 4, and that's only 2 years ago.
Who's to say that won't happen again this offseason?
I think
Who's to
might.
say it won't happen again in free agency? So if you have an unwillingness to pay above and beyond, we are going to be looking at the same thing that we watched in 2023.
And that's why the Cardinals need to readjust their model, and they need to be willing to pay. There's no way, for example, in 2015 that they would have ever dreamed of paying a pitcher like Max Scherzer $210 million, which he got at that time, or $30 million a year. Now they have to pay a guy like Aaron Nola. If they're going to have a number one starter, they're going to have to pay that guy $32 million a year for a long time, 7 years.
And I don't doubt that you're going to have to spend big, but do you think with what happened with the Mets and Padres this past season will change maybe even the Mets spending habits this offseason?
They say they're out. So one of the most unhappy people yesterday was Shohei Ohtani, because the Mets were going to be in on Shohei, and now one of the suitors is out.
Yeah.
They say they are.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah.
Not here.
CD, why not?
Unless the only way Shohei comes here for the Cardinals is if he pitches 2 of the 5 days.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe that's the deal.
We'll get you. We'll pay you $60 million, but you're going to be starting twice as opposed to once every 5th day.
But the Mets told Scherzer they aren't going back to that well. They told him that we're going to sign mid-level guys. We aren't going to sign the big money guys anymore. So that takes one team out of the mix. But all it takes is one other team that needs that number one. Philadelphia is they're going to make a big push for Aaron Nola before he ever gets to free agency. So the Cardinals better have contingency plans too. A guy like Glasnow will be available in a trade, and the Cardinals have to be prepared to deal with this, as distasteful as it may sound, with the Rays, and give the Rays something that the Rays really like.
They have to. I mean, they just have to this season because, as you said, the Mets have already conceded that they will not be able to do this going into next season. So if you're the Cardinals, I see that as an opportunity to take advantage. And don't forget, you have Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt still here. You didn't move them. You didn't trade them away. You didn't, try to get some more assets out of them at the trade deadline. If you're keeping them here, you need to do something, I believe. You need to win. You got to put more of the pieces in place.
There is a real disconnect, and this is why Mr. DeWitt, I think, should talk more, because there's a real disconnect between reality and perception. Mr. DeWitt really wants to win. If he didn't want to win, they wouldn't have Arenado and Goldschmidt here. They wouldn't have spent the money that they spent out. on Wilson Contreras. They wouldn't have spent $87.5 million on him. Now, we might not like the way it's working out, but they wouldn't have spent it if they weren't trying to win. You don't do that unless you're trying to win. And I think Mr. DeWitt would do well to get before the fans and say, look, I'm trying to win. I want to win. Is it working all the time? Is it working this year? No, but he's really competitive and does want to win. And so
That would be interesting if he did do that.
yeah, I think that'd be a good point for him to make. That is Brooke. That is Carrie. I'm Randy. Coming up here on 101 ESPN. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Take it or leave it next on 101 ESPN.
Or leave it. Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back. Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Text line open, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Okay, kids. I don't know if you heard this. Okay, kids.
Okay, kids.
Criminal complaint filed yesterday in Ames, Iowa, against Iowa State quarterback Hunter Deckers, who is accused of placing 26 bets on Iowa State sports. Take it or leave it. Despite the criminal complaint, if he has bet on Iowa State sports, he's been punished enough.
I'll take that.
I would take that. Yeah. Oh.
He's betting on them to succeed, I would assume.
I hope. Which would be bad.
You know what bothers me, Randy? I guess I could use this as sick of it. The thing, and that's tomorrow, but the thing that troubles me is how uninformed people are when they have all of the information in their hands at all times. Like, how do you not know anything? How are you this dumb? Like, how is this possible that you are this just not aware of things? You know you can't gamble on games. You know there are things that you cannot do if you are a certain type of person. How are people this dumb? Like, how do you manage to make it to be 40, 50, 60 years old and you are that damn dumb? Like, it's amazing.
It is it's an early sick of it for you, huh?
It's an early
sick of it, but it's so true because it feels like almost over information has caused people to be dumbed down it. Yeah, because people will only read the headlines or they'll just think it just won't ever happen to them and they won't get caught. How do you think you won't get caught if others do?
Got to be pretty smart. He, by the way, tried to hide his identity with the help of his parents.
Good try. So your parents are dumb as hell too then. You all are just
kind of
making dumb decisions.
Yeah.
That's just not intelligent.
Yeah, well,
that's bad.
It kind of is, but so is
that
your take it or leave it?
No, that was just me piggybacking on yours. My take it or leave it.
He has some things to get off his chest.
By the way, parents.
Good effort. Not so much. Your kid's gonna ruin his life. Thanks. Nolan Arenado didn't get traded at the trade deadline. There were rumors that maybe you saw him in the New York Yankees or the Los Angeles Dodgers. Take it or leave it. If the Cardinals repeat 2024 as they did 2023, Nolan Arenado will ask for a trade prior to the trade deadline.
Oh, I think he'll be gone if they don't do this offseason like they should, go out and get some starting pitching. I think Nolan's going to be paying attention to everything because it seems like he was frustrated with what happened this past offseason.
Yes.
It seems like it.
It doesn't seem like that came from nowhere.
No.
You know what? A lot of the Cardinals' problems, and this is taking nothing away from the greatness of Nolan Arenado, but a lot of the Cardinal problems this year were related to his bad first month.
It's not all on him, though. I do.
But his
defense was not up to the standard that we are accustomed to. But I do think that the pitching or lack thereof was more of a problem than just his poor defense.
Yeah. I mean, it was just the World Baseball Classic for Nolan.
Yeah, clearly.
That was.
I hadn't heard that one, Brooke. That's what I thought.
That's what that was. It's just the World Baseball Classic.
But to answer your question, yes, I'll take it because he's given us that knowledge that if he doesn't like the way things are going, he tries at least once. He's tried to find a way out. Now with the Cardinals, he's had 2 opportunities to go and has stayed.
Yes, take it or leave it. We're going to be waiting around to see what young players will come up. Take it or leave it. We might see Luke and Baker again.
Take it.
And actually see him play.
Here's the thing. Brooke, if we're seeing Toe Mater, how can we not see Luke and Baker again?
By the way,
he's a linebacker.
Yeah, he's huge. 26 home run of the season last night.
I like Lucan. He's a big fella.
He is a big fella.
Might as well give him another
guy too.
He might be more like a D tackle, he's about 6'4", 265. Yeah. Interior line.
He's Levon Kirkland.
Oh, Levon Kirkland was 300 pounds in middle linebacker. Oh, he was 300 at middle line. He was like 6 foot, 6'1". He was he's a big dude.
Matthew, what do we got on the text line?
God, Levon Kirkland has always fascinated me. Take it or leave it. If the money was the same, Mizzou wishes they were still in the Big 12.
Oh, no.
Take it.
I'm going to take that one.
The money is the same? Take it.
No, you don't. The Big 12. You know what the Big 12 has right now? The Big 12 is like Houston.
It's not great.
Nobody sees you. Nobody. You can't recruit to the Big 12 versus recruit to the SEC. There's no chance.
But the money is the same, essentially. So I would assume that maybe that's more money for recruiting. You keep around a lot of the NIL stuff. You think that maybe they would have a better chance of winning some
Winning what?
championships?
When's the last time a Big 12 won something?
Here's the thing.
Basketball. The Big 12 is a basketball
Participation.
conference.
In terms of recruiting,
Participation
it
trophies.
doesn't really matter. Like they are in the SEC, but they aren't getting the Alabama, Georgia.
But they have the ability to. They can't recruit like those teams do. But yes, for a 6-year stretch, Mizzou had as many first and second round draft choices as Alabama did.
Wow.
So you have that ability, and you don't have that ability in the Big 12.
Well, there's that.
We'll see.
Yeah, they'll never go back to the Big 12.
No,
can never say never.
I wouldn't, but I don't think they're going to have success in the SEC.
Doesn't
either.
the
It's relative. Who's going to catch up? I mean, as long as Saban's there, nobody's. And now you've got Kirby Smart. I mean, they're in that second or third tier in the SEC, but are they going to be what Alabama and Georgia are? No. But Alabama and Georgia have a 100-year head start on quality football on teams like Mizzou and Mississippi and Ole Miss or Mississippi State. It's a literal 100-year head start.
Yeah. Well, and SEC always has more of a draw. Doesn't the wrestling team compete still in the
It's awesome. Yeah.
Do they?
Oh,
They
in
don't
the Big
compete in the
12?
SEC.
No, they don't.
Okay.
Right now, by the way, your Big 12, BYU, Baylor, Cincy, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas,
Row.
Kansas State.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Oklahoma State.
You make it out of there, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, Texas Tech, UCF, West Virginia. Yeah, you aren't kidding. It's like the old Conference USA.
Make it out of there, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. Mason Wynn will be here by the end of this month.
Take it.
I'm going to leave that.
Wasn't there some things said yesterday that could possibly, I don't know, maybe hinder his return? I thought Mozela kind of maybe hinted towards that. I think he should be up here soon because why not?
Exactly. And now that you don't have Donovan, you might as well, at least, I won't say by the end of this month, but maybe he's one of the two guys you bring up for September.
I wish it would be sooner than that.
I do too.
It should be.
I mean, you got a spot.
You want to get people fired up?
Yes.
He can fire people up, right?
Exactly.
Bring him up and just say, hey, Mason, you play your game, okay? Don't play our laid back. You play your game.
Randy, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What?
Yep, you play your game,
You play
baby.
your game here in St. Louis for the Cardinals? No way.
Yeah, just
No way there. No way.
show him some old video of Willie and Vince.
There's a
And
guy.
say, you do this.
No. The guy that wore number 1 that played the game his way, he was pretty damn good.
There you go. Yeah, just let those two be together. I like that idea.
Take it or leave it. The Cardinals will have to trade Gorman or Newt or both to get a quality young starting pitcher.
Gorman, Newt, or both to get a
Leave
quality?
that. I'm going to leave that. So I don't think that they have to go there. They'll obviously have to give up quality, but I don't think it'll have to be one of those guys.
So then who would it be?
I still think Carlson has value around baseball. And now, if Brendan Donovan is going to be back and you've got your outfield, assuming your outfield is going to have Newt Barr, Walker, and let's even leave 27 out of this, okay? But you're still going to have Burleson on the roster next year, and you could play because you're going to have Contreras on the roster. Yesterday, it was Estevali, Marmol, could Gorman play left field? So somewhere along the line, you're going to have to be able to fit Contreras and Gorman into your lineup.
Gorman in left field?
Yeah. He's athletic enough. He would be a better left fielder if they would start him tonight than Kyle Schwarber, who was in the World Series last year. Or Castellanos. He'd be a better outfielder than Castellanos tonight, too.
We just need to continue to have a carousel in the outfield.
Yeah.
Just everybody tries it out. Everyone.
Yeah,
I want to see Paul
Williams,
Goldschmidt in the outfield, Nolan Arenado, everybody. Why not?
Right. But what you have to do is what you have to place, and I know this is a scary proposition, but place a couple of players off limits and then tell Tampa Bay, when you go after a guy like Glasnow, okay, you can take any two of the rest of these guys, but leave Newt and Gorman out of it. And they're going to take the big money guys in Tampa. So that's the way I would approach it. See if we can make that happen. I'll work on it.
Take it or leave it. Schnucks Cherry Cardinals Crunch Ice Cream is the perfect pairing to watching a Cardinals game while crying.
Oh, yeah, that's a great call. I will take that 100%.
If you're still crying at this point, I mean, you got to find something else to do.
Go touch
Earlier
some
in the
grass.
season, you got to just walk away. it's been painful enough. At some point, you got to leave.
Yeah.
If it's hurting you that much.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons that you need to bring up a Mason Wynn is because he can be the reason that you go to the TV at night, right? Or go to the game. I want to watch Mason Wynn play.
And well, him and Walker and the friendship that they've had, being able to see that together in the majors, there would be so many Wynn and Walker jerseys in that stadium, especially with young kids coming in.
Yep. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thanks for your texts. We do appreciate them. Coming up, if you put all of these deals into a portfolio, how do you think the Cardinals did? That's coming your way next on 101 ESPN.
Section.
Hey, gang, sorry I'm late. The other surgery went a little longer than anticipated.
Nah, you haven't missed much.
Oh, good. What's this guy getting? A car?
He's selling his kidney to get a new HVAC system installed.
An overpriced HVAC system. This is like the third person this week.
You don't have to sell your kidney to afford an HVAC system from Swiss Air Heating and Cooling. Ron, the Wizard of Comfort, will guide you to the lowest cost of ownership. Not only does Swiss Air offer a 29-point cooling system check for just $69, but right now get $35 off any service call. Swiss Air also uses only the best equipment, such as the new energy-efficient Daikin Fit system. Repair or replace, Swiss Air gives you the lowest cost of ownership. If your system does break down, Swiss Air will provide a temporary cooling system. Call Ron, the Wizard of Comfort, at 636-500-COOL. That's 636-500-COOL. Or go to SwissAirSTL.com for the $69 magic tune.
As your captain, better buckle your seatbelts for this one. I saw my passport expired, so I went to Staples, got a passport photo lickety-split. While I was there, I grabbed some tiny travel soap and shampoo. I should have got some for my co-pilot. Just kidding, Brad.
Staples has everything for travel. 10-minute passport photos, luggage, headphones, even personal travel items. And now at Staples, get $10 off your purchase of $30 or more when you buy a travel service. Staples, your first stop to nonstop travel. Ends 9/16. In-store only. Exclusions apply.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
From the opening drive, the balloon party. Fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Brought to you by Schnucks Rewards. Reward yourself. Earn 2% back on every purchase with the Schnucks Rewards app.
Everybody does their winners and losers after a deadline, and most outlets have the Cardinals rated as a winner. At The Athletic, they write, I'm once again here saying it brings me no joy to grade an all-out seller as a trade deadline winner. But here we are. Had the Cardinals traded Paul Goldschmidt or Nolan Arenado, the near future fortunes of this ball club would obviously feel very different. Instead, fans can look forward to a 2024 season in which St. Louis expects to be back in the race and reloading for another run. It's entirely plausible. Look around the NL Central and tell me they're miles away from a talent perspective. They aren't, and they took some steps forward at this trade deadline in exchange for Cabrera, Hicks, Montgomery, Stratton, and DeYoung, and Jack Flaherty. The Cardinals replenished their top 30 prospect list with a smattering of interesting prospects, most of them pitchers who should be able to better the big league club before long. It didn't feel as if there was much to be squeezed from these returns. They got good value for good ball players on mostly expiring contracts, and they did so without dealing Goldie or Arenado. All things considered, that's a win in my book. That is from The Athletic, and that is from Stephen J. Nesbitt. Again, I don't know, but the people who are paying attention to the minor league systems are rating the Cardinals as winners. Let's start from this perspective. Can you be a team that's probably going to only win 15 or 20 of your last 55 games and be considered a winner?
If you have a losing record, I'm going to say you are not a winner.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I think in terms of what the Cardinals got, the fact that they were able to get some assets back in return, I look at it a lot like the Blues. I would rather have something. I would rather have these 10 minor leaguers than nothing. Jordan Hicks, you couldn't come to an agreement with him. Jordan Montgomery, is going into free agency, and the likelihood of having him back is very low. Chris Stratton was just a guy. You can replace Chris Stratton with a young player that you can send down to Memphis on a regular basis. All due respect to Chris Stratton, like the fella. Jack Flaherty seemed to have a foot out the door for a long time with the Cardinals. He likes St. Louis, but he was also a guy that was probably headed towards free agency. My point is that I don't believe these players under any circumstances were guaranteed of coming back. So for the Cardinals to be able to get something in return for them, I think is a win.
You have to, right? Just letting them walk away would be even more of a loss to what we have experienced this season. It's not a position that you ever want to be in, being sellers, seeing those guys go. But at the same time, it's the way that they played. They could never find any consistency or identity as a group this season, and pitching was a big part of it. And it does seem weird saying that you need pitching, but you're giving away trading pitching, essentially. But at the same time, if things were good, how do we end up at this point in the season where you would need to be sellers? Something has to be figured out, reconfigured. And I know that they did say possibly the door is open for those guys to return. I know that Ollie and Mosaic, of course, they're going to do their due diligence and say, yeah, we'll always leave the door open. I'm sure the players, they're like, yeah, if the price is right, maybe I'd return.
Yeah.
But it's going to require the Cardinals spending a lot of money. And Mozeliak mentioned that yesterday of how aggressive they're going to have to be this offseason.
I think my question, and I asked this to Clave yesterday, what is the confidence in the Cardinals? We're past the trade deadline now, so they obviously didn't get an ace. What's the confidence in the offseason, free agency, that they will make a move to get them an ace, a number 1 and a number 2/3 starter? Because you're going to need that going forward. And for me, honestly, I haven't seen anything that gives me confidence knowing that if they do sign a guy to a big contract, that is going to be the right guy. And I think that leads me to believe that it's going to be similar to what we've watched today. These young players, it's all about development. You evaluate them, and then you have to develop them into being professional baseball players. They have to be groomed and shown the correct way to make the correct pitches, have the correct mindset, how to go about being a pro every single day. And if you don't take that time and that consideration in younger players, you have guys that end up flaming out or just don't reach their maximum potential because they haven't been coached to do so.
And Matthew Liberatore will be starting this week. So that will be interesting. Dakota Hudson as well. But it seems like they're really going to look at Matthew Liberatore and give him a chance, which is what you were talking about yesterday, Randy. You got to see what you have with Libby.
Right. He has had enough inconsistent opportunities. And many times until a guy gets going, you can't find out what you have. Now, the Cardinals gave that opportunity last year to Johan Oviedo, found out that he wasn't that great. They've done that with numerous guys. Liberatore just hasn't had that opportunity yet. And I hope that there's communication between the folks down in Memphis and the folks down in St. Louis, the pitching folks down in Memphis who have him throwing 96, 97, and the folks here in St. Louis where he's throwing 93, 94. I think St. Louis needs to call Memphis and say, okay, what are you doing down there that's getting him to throw 96, 97? We want to see that for the next 10 starts.
I don't know what that difference could be. I mean, I don't know if it's a pregame regimen. I don't know if it's a mindset thing. I think something has to be unlocked. When you're a younger player, it usually takes you a year and a half, 2 years to actually understand, I can play this game. I can actually be really good in this game. Some of them, it's very rare where you get a young guy, a rookie that comes in and just fire. Ellie De La Cruz is one. He's just, okay, I'm here. Right. I have arrived. Normally, it takes a guy a couple of years to figure it out and understand, okay, I can do this at a high level. And so I don't know what the disconnect is from guys down in Memphis to coming here and all of those things that are taking place, but something has to be fixed.
And Kerry, you asked, what's your confidence level? We're in the show me state.
Yeah.
It's been a long time now. When's the last time, Brooke, you asked last night, when's the last time the Cardinals spent big money on a pitcher? And I think it was probably
starting
Mike Lee.
Pitcher that you
starting
knew.
Pitcher. Yeah.
That's why I said a name that you know and is going to perform well.
And along those lines, so they haven't brought that guy in. And when's the last time they developed that guy? You could say for two halves of seasons that Jack Flaherty was that guy. But in terms of what maybe Lance Lynn was the last time the Cardinals developed a front of the rotation guy. And that's 12 years ago that he arrived on the major league scene. I think here he was a front of the rotation guy. By the way, so was Wacha. Yeah. And Wacha was unfortunate. But they're going to have to do something that has been rare for them lately, and that is find through hook or crook, whether it's free agency, trade, or developing a guy, find a number one quality guy.
And that's why the development part is so important. I mean, you can't predict when guys are going to get injured. You talked about Alex Reyes earlier. Jack Flaherty had the injury. You don't know when a guy's body is just going to say, okay, that's enough. I need a break. There's nothing you can do about that. But what you can do is have people prepared for if and when those things do occur. And right now, I don't have much confidence that is going to take place because I haven't seen enough of it. If that was the case, they would have been prepared for this year when things weren't going correctly.
And by the way, I fully expected that both Reyes and Flaherty were going to be number one. I thought that'd be their 1 and 1A for years. And they got hurt.
I think they expected that. I think that was the game plan. But as you mentioned, CD, the game plan changes quite a bit.
And maybe that's part of the problem. I mean, you get guys that get injured and things occur, things that you have no control over. Oscar Taveras passing away. You don't have control. What do you do? How do you respond when those things happen? I think, good organizations are always preparing. I told you all, my coaches would tell us, we tolerate you till we can replace you. It doesn't matter who you are. They are every single day looking to replace you. And as a player, it's your job every single day not to be replaced. And if you get just complacent in that mindset of, oh, I'm here, I'm good, we're good. No, you have to be evaluating and developing players every single day because anything can come up.
And Atlanta's the model now. They lose Max Fried and Kyle Wright, and they have Spencer Strider and Bryce Elder prepared to step in. And the Cardinals have not drafted high, but you have to use the international market too. And they didn't keep Alcantara. They didn't keep Gallen. They haven't had guys to step in the event of those injuries to people like Reyes and Flaherty.
And if I can give them some advice, let people be who they are. That would be my main. Let people. Everyone is not one specific way. As a coach, as a manager, your job is to know the personalities of your team, know how they work, how they move, what makes them tick, and then you go after that. You accentuate that. You make sure that they are able to do and be who they are, and then you have your best team. Don't assume that everybody has to fit this cookie cutter type of role or type of personality in order for you to be successful.
Maybe the model, too, is just following what the Rangers did, because the Rangers spent a lot of money last offseason, and I know that DeGrom, of course, injured, and that hampers things, but look at how much they were able to evolve and also develop pitching, maybe some surprises there, and then go get even more pitching. That aggressiveness, I think, is something that you would like to see from the Cardinals, where they're able to pivot, but also have some talent ready to go.
And we had the discussion yesterday, Brooke, with Mike Claiborne about innings. And Bruce Bochy is a former Major League catcher and has a history of providing pitchers the opportunity to work through adversity. Mike Maddox has that same ability. Now, yes, they spend money and they have talented pitchers, but they're also letting them pitch.
Yes.
And that goes back to you saying, let the guys be what they are.
Yeah, let them be who they are. This texter from the 314 has a pretty good, maybe a good reasoning for why Liberatore's mile per hour is different in Memphis and here. Maybe the radar guns are different.
That could be. But the thing was,
they're ticking them up just a little bit down there in old Memphis.
Remember, Waino told us, though, and by the way, Waino will join us later on in the show, but Waino told us that he was a different pitcher down there. And so it's hard to figure out.
Maybe
it's a confidence thing. It's confidence for me.
Or maybe it's major league hitters versus guys who are not in the majors. Sometimes that might have a little to do with it.
Yeah,
that's confidence. If I throw this ball here, it's going to go a long way. Take a little
Hopefully
bit off.
he'll figure it out here. That is today's Fresh Take on 101 ESPN. Coming up, the Cardinals know the mountain to climb between now and next spring. Get 3 MLB starting pitchers. John Mozeliak will tell us how the Cardinals plan to do that next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you are driving around on this gloomy morning and you're feeling fatigued and tired and you think, it's because of the weather, I'm tired because of the weather, it might not be. If it happens on the sunny, glorious days, it could be an issue if you're a guy that's beyond the age of 30 of low testosterone. You've heard about low testosterone. Let me tell you what testosterone does. It gives you the ability to be energetic and not be fatigued, and it allows you to be able to get through a day and then go home and coach your kids at night, or if you are out working with a hammer or using your body for work during the day, testosterone provides you that energy to be strong throughout the day. At Mentality, they're going to restore your testosterone level with an FDA-approved testosterone treatment. All you need to do is go to lowtusa.com and see what they do there. You can make an appointment at one of their clinics in Chesterfield or South County. They'll take a test and find out where your testosterone level is, and then with that treatment, you go in every week and you get it restored, and you have the energy back to where you want it to be. They'll work with your insurance company. They're a great company. You'll love Mentality. Go to lowtusa.com. Well, you don't have Jordan Montgomery. You don't have Jack Flaherty. You aren't going to have Adam Wainwright. So Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz are on the Cardinals, and they'll be on the 2024 Cardinals. That'll be two of your starting pitchers. Then the Cardinals need to reload. And I'm thinking, Brooke and Carey, that there will be a rookie in this rotation. I don't know who it's going to be, whether it's Liberatore or McGreevy or Graceffo or somebody else. I believe that somebody will be at the back end of the rotation that's cheap and controllable. So the Cardinals are going to have to pick up, in my opinion, two starting pitchers. John Mozeliak on what the Cardinals rotation will look like in 2024.
Yeah, I think it's a little early to determine who's going to fill that, what that's going to look like. Do we think there's some candidates in that? Of course. I think what we really did was add a lot of pitching depth to our system. And so we'll allow that to play out. But we still know there's work to do. We still know we're probably going to have to be active on the free agent market. We certainly want to get back to winning. We don't want to have to relive this anytime soon. So we certainly understand the challenges moving forward.
The Cardinals did this, and Mozeliak was part of it in 2000 when they brought in three new starting pitchers, in addition to Garrett Stevenson and then the rookie, Rick Ankiel, who was terrific, by the way. But they're going to have to take a similar approach this offseason. Let's start with this. Our guy, Steven Matz. Do you believe?
Yes, that he is your fourth or fifth starter. Okay, let's say fourth, because you're going to have a rookie more than likely.
Believe in Matz. Yes. I hope it will be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes. I hope that Matz will be able to continue what he's done this month of July, because this month of July has been fantastic for him and just looks like he's confident out there and that he has the stuff that you need to be towards you have your little drawing board up here. Maybe you're number 4 next year. I could see him being that. Back into the rotation, maybe, and I'm just going to throw this name out there, maybe Liberatore, but also what about the new guy, Rom? Drew Rom is somebody that a lot of people seem to be intrigued in. Numbers may not pop out to you at first. He has a 5.34 ERA, 100 strikeouts and 86 innings through 19 appearances with the Orioles' top A affiliate. He does lack some high end velocity, but it's very interesting. You know the comp that they have for him, J. Happ. Former Cardinal great.
Yeah, legend, Cardinal legend.
Yes, Cardinals legend, J. Happ, who did have a very, very long career.
Right. We know that guys are going to get hurt. So I'm more than happy to give Rom the opportunity to win that fifth starter's job. But I want to have established guys, and I'm with you guys with Steven Matz being my number 4, and Michael is clearly can slot in as your number 2. So what you need is a solid 180, 190 inning guy to be your number 3 guy, and then you need an ace. You need somebody for the front of your rotation that when you have lost 3 games in a row is going to go out there and win that game for you and give your bullpen a rest. And right now the Cardinals just don't have that player, and there are very few of those pitchers available. So what do? Like Mo said, you go into the free agent market. Maybe you trade for one. And by the way, I will not be bothered if they go get 2 number 1 starters. If they would sign Nola and trade for Glasnow or trade for Cease.
That would be very aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you still have that possibility. Somebody did ask on YouTube, by the way, you can go watch us on YouTube right now, that I thought was interesting because I keep seeing this coming in. I look at prospects that were acquired not just as possible pieces for the Major League club, but as possible pieces that could be flipped for established starting pitchers during the offseason.
I just wonder if the level of those prospects, if any of the levels,
it would need to be more than prospects.
Right, like the guys that the Mets got.
Yes.
Those prospects are legit, and you traded Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander for those guys. But the Cardinals didn't go out and get a top 10 guy. And when you're going to go get a Cease, you're going to have to give up a top 10 guy, or we always talk about Nolan Gorman, an established big league player, whether it's a pitcher or a hitter. And if I'm the White Sox, I put this guy out on the market, and I know if the Cardinals aren't going to give me that for him, somebody is. For Dylan Cease, somebody's going to give me a bunch for him, and it'll be the same way with Glasnow. It's going to be a puke point trade if you're going to get one of those guys.
I think your way works best. It's going to be almost impossible, in my opinion, to go get 2 free agents in the offseason. I think you're going to have to trade for one. And like you said, it's going to be a point where it's somebody that the opposing team really wants. And hopefully, the best case scenario for the Cardinals is Tyler O'Neill plays his butt off the rest of the summer, the rest of the season. And he is a piece that you can trade in the offseason because he's shown that he's healthy. We already know what his talent is. I think the Cardinals would be best suited if they were to move on and get something in return, not just him solely, but you have to add something else to that trade. So I'm looking at the free agents this offseason. You got Snell, Nola, Urias, Rodriguez, Giolito, and Sonny Gray. And so out of those 6 or 7 guys, you have to spend some money to get one, trade for one. And then you got this rookie class, these guys that'll potentially be rookies. One of those guys will be a 5th starter. And then I would like one of those guys or 2 of those guys to be in the bullpen. You have a Tink Hintz who could come in and be, if he's not your closer, maybe he's your 7th or 8th inning guy. Maybe out of that group, Graceffo, McGreevy, Takoa Roby, Robersay or Robersai, whatever his name is.
Whatever you want it to be,
Rom, those guys in the bullpen. So you get 2 or 3 of those guys, 1 starter, 2 guys in the bullpen, and you go out in the free agency, get a free agent pitcher, and then you trade for one. And now you have drastically changed what the starting rotation looks like and what the relievers look like.
I think that's a great call. I think we've just figured it out. By the way, the Cardinals are big, if you aren't aware of it, on the WAR statistic.
Oh, they are.
And Blake Snell is the number 4 pitcher in WAR this year. And I just wonder if that's something that, well, I know it's something that they'll look at in free agency. But the other guys that might be on the Cardinals, on their radar, I don't know if the Rays would move Shane McClanahan. He's a stud. If you could get him, he'd probably be the best guy that you could get. I don't think you're going to get Zach Gallen, unfortunately. But he's up there. Yes, Matthew.
If the Rays are willing to move Shane McClanahan, is that a red flag?
No, because it's for them, everything comes down to money. And they would have to move him or Glasnow because of future finances and dealing with arbitration, ultimate free agency.
Blake Snell is very interesting because wasn't he the one that said he was frustrated with a former team when they didn't let him stay in and pitch in a game?
Yes.
That might have to be fixed because if Blake Snell sees what has happened this season with some guys, he might be a little little concerned about that. So would you have to kind of change that philosophy if you're going to bring in a pitcher? I think you would have to, even if it's not just Blake Snell, but in general, wouldn't you feel a little bit better if maybe you allow them to do that moving forward?
And Mo has talked about
philosophies.
Yeah, but philosophically, it's really interesting because Mo has talked about that coming back into the game, about starting pitchers giving more innings and seeing more complete games. Obviously, that hasn't manifested itself with the Cardinals yet.
No.
But I wonder if he's the guy that sets the philosophical agenda. He's the guy that can fire people because of philosophical differences. So I wonder.
The philosophy has to be coming from somewhere.
It does. And that's why I'm saying maybe with the going back to more strikeout type pitching, maybe he wants more horse type pitchers at the front of his rotation.
Why not? Especially if you're going to spend that much money on a guy like, say, a Blake Snell, and you know that he has that past history that he's voices frustration and where he's pulled from a game and he knew he was done with the team after that. Maybe let him go. We talked about Jordan Montgomery this season, his frustrations with not being able to go into deep in games. Of course, a pitcher is going to want to stay in, and there's definitely situations where you need to pull him, but some situations that we've seen where it has quite literally blown up in their face.
And with that being the case, what you do is you say, okay, we're going to pay you a bunch of money, and we're going to get our money's worth.
That would be the best way to go about it.
That's the new philosophy.
Yeah, I like that idea.
There we go. It'll be we had fun leading up to the deadline. It'll be a transaction-filled offseason for the Cardinals, too. And, yeah, the baseball itself might not be awesome for the last couple of months, but there's a lot to evaluate here. Coming up, we've got The Fight here on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. This summer, I'm taking up a new hobby, one that I know will last a lifetime, and that is golfing. And I'm learning at the best spot in town. That is Family Golf and Learning Center. I've always wanted to learn how to golf, but was just really intimidated, and I didn't know where to even start. But after my first couple of lessons with RJ, Melissa, and just the wonderful staff over at Family Golf and Learning Center, I was actually able to hit it straight and most importantly, just feel comfortable out there. I was out there recently, and RJ just really took the time to break things down with me. He even gave me some homework to take home so I could feel a little bit better. And that's what they do there at Family Golf and Learning Center. With several pros on staff, they have the ability to help anyone with their golf game. Like if you're just like me, starting out, or you want to improve your game. They provide a friendly and encouraging practice experience for the individual and for the family. All abilities and ages are welcome. So join me on this golf journey today. For more information, go to familygolfonline.com. That is familygolfonline.com. Learn, practice, play your best golf.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals yesterday finalizing the trade deadline. Jack Flaherty to the Baltimore Orioles. They pick up 3 prospects in that deal to the Orioles, including infielder Cesar Pietro, left-handed pitcher Drew Rom, and right-handed pitcher Zach Showalter. Cardinals also in action on the field. Last night they fall to the Twins 3-2 in the first of that 3-game set. Game 2 is tonight, 6:45 p.m. It'll be Dakota Hudson facing off against Joe Ryan for the Twins. And yesterday, St. Louis City SC also made a transaction, trading for left back Anthony Markinich from the Colorado Rapids. They traded general allocation money for this season and for their 2024 Super Draft first round selection. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Bummer. Bummer, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing wonderful.
Great.
Are you ready to take on Randy Carricker?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Brandon Marshall was the first wide receiver to tally 1,000-yard seasons for 4 different franchises. Since then, who is the one receiver to join him doing so after the 2020 season? Is it Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, or Brandon Cooks?
Brandon Cook.
Question number 2. Which current National League pitcher holds the record for the quickest to 200 strikeouts in a season? Is it Sandy Alcantara, Clayton Kershaw, or Spencer Strider?
Alcantara.
Luis Arraez is all but guaranteed to be the Marlins' second ever National League batting champ. Who was the first? Is it Christian Yelich, Miguel Cabrera, or Hanley Ramirez?
Cabrera.
Question number 4. Which one-time Cardinal holds the mark for the fewest pitches needed in a no-hitter with 75 in a game versus the Mets? Is it Bud Smith, Darryl Kyle, or Edwin Jackson?
Bud Smith.
All right, we will double-check our score, and then we will bring in Randy Carricker.
Bummer, how you feeling?
I am not feeling great, but I'm at the U.S. World Kids Championship at Pinehurst.
Okay.
So it's actually not bad feeling that way.
Okay, well, at least you're doing something fun, and this is Well, Randy usually has fun doing these. He enjoys taking on competitors.
Savers.
But I've been mouthing off to him too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes, Randy.
Sometimes people. Sometimes people like punishment.
Glutton for pain?
Yeah.
Is that what you call them?
Yeah.
People are, okay, well, you say hello to Bummer.
Bummer, good morning. It's always good to hear your voice. How you doing?
I am doing well. Good to hear your voice.
Did you already tell people what you're doing this morning?
I did. I'm at the U.S. Kids World Golf Championship.
That's fantastic. Great to have you with us. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
And Bummer is at Whitmore. He is the man at Whitmore. We love him.
Nice.
All right, Randy, let's see if you can take down the man.
All right.
Brandon Marshall was the first ever wide receiver to tally 1,000 yards for 4 different franchises. Since then, who was the one receiver to join him, doing so after the 2020 season?
After the 2020 season. 4 different teams with at least 1,000 yards.
Yep.
There's not many good receivers, and he did it after 2020, right?
That's what Rocc said.
I can only find, as I rack this brain, I think of New Orleans, New England, Houston, Rams for Brandon Cooks. He's a good receiver that gets bounced around a lot, so I'm going to go with him.
Question number 2. Which current National League pitcher holds the record for the quickest to 200 strikeouts in a season?
Current National League pitcher, 200 strikeouts in a season. Let me just, you know what? That's a pretty impressive stat when you consider that Nolan Ryan pitched as long as he did and Randy Johnson pitched in the National League as he did. I think I'm going to go with Spencer Strider.
Luis Ariz is all but guaranteed to be the Marlins' second ever National League batting champ. Who was the first?
I think it was Luis Castillo. I'll do the lifeline just to make sure.
Christian Yelich.
Nope.
Miguel Cabrera.
Nope.
Hanley Ramirez.
Ooh, Hanram. I'll go with Hanram.
Hanram. That's interesting. Which one-time Cardinal holds the mark for the fewest pitches needed in a no-hitter with 75 in a game versus the Mets?
75 pitches in a no-hitter against the, and it's, so he didn't pitch this, obviously. The Cardinals have never had a no-hitter against the Mets. So he didn't do this for the Cardinals. Okay. That's a pretty impressive no-hitter. And it's been obviously since 1960. And he pitched for the Cardinals. Who did we have that was a contact pitcher that may have had a no-hitter against the Mets? Lefty, I don't think, had a no-hitter against the Mets. Who would that have been? This is tough. I will go with... I don't think it's a big name. I'll go with Dick Hughes. That'll be my guy.
Can't wait to learn more about Dick Hughes after we go through these fight answers. So
clearly that's not the answer.
Yeah, by what Rocc just revealed there.
Yeah.
Maybe, or we're just about to learn a lot about Dick Hughes, is all I'm saying. Was Bummer able to come in here on a hump day and bump off Randy, or does Megamind keep on rolling through his short week with another win? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
There it is. Randy Carricker with a 3-1 win over you today, Bummer. I'm sorry. I think he retains bragging rights.
I think he did.
You get me on the golf course every time, though.
Yes, I will.
There it is. We'll talk about how Randy won this one before he has to go out on the golf course and pay for it there. Brandon Marshall was the first wide receiver to tally 1,000-yard seasons for 4 different franchises. It was, in fact, Brandon Cooks, the only other one to do it since. Which current NL pitcher holds the record for the quickest 200 Ks in a season? Spencer Strider set the mark last year with just over 130 innings, and he reset it earlier this year, just about a week ago, with about 127 innings for the record. Luis Ariz is all but guaranteed to be be the Marlins' second ever NL batting champ. Hanley Ramirez was, in fact, the first. And which one-time Cardinal holds the mark for the fewest pitchers needed in a no-hitter? It was Darryl Kyle when he blew the Mets away with just 75 pitches in his no-hitter effort there. So Randy Carricker wins this fight 3-1 over Bummer. Bummer, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Thanks, guys.
And Bummer, thanks for what you do for kids golf, too.
Absolutely.
Hey, and everybody in St. Louis, look for Josh Hooper.
That's the golfer we keep an eye on, right?
Josh Hooper.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
See you. Bummer over at Whitmore. Great guy. Saw him over at the Cardinals tournament Monday, and he's terrific. And out at Pinehurst today, the junior U.S. Open. That's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
And Josh Hooper will keep that name at top of mind. Dick Hughes never pitched for another franchise. He went 16-6 for the 67 Cardinals. He actually was the guy who stepped in when Bob Gibson got hit on the batted ball, the one-hopper from Roberto Clemente. Gibson actually finished the inning after breaking his leg with a batted ball.
Oh, my God.
He was kind of tough.
That's when now. You talk about tough.
Yeah. And then Dick Hughes steps in and goes 16-6 with a 2.67. Pitched in 1968, never pitched again. So I didn't realize that he didn't pitch for another franchise, so I just thought I'd throw that one out there.
By the way, a fun part about that stat that I did not know until I was researching it, apparently pitch count numbers are extremely unreliable up until about 1988. So like a lot of stuff with like Steve Carlton and stuff like that, I'm sure there's probably one in the low 80s, upper 90s with him having a no-hitter. But apparently pitch count's really unreliable, just one of those stats that they didn't keep until people started getting really nerdy about it in the 80s and 90s.
There was... There you go.
People got really nerdy.
There was...
Nerds were invented. That's what happened.
Somebody, let me see. So June 14th, 1974, Nolan Ryan, back in my day, I was... Well, let's see. I was about to turn 12 the following week. I was 11. Nolan Ryan throws 235 pitches in striking out 19 Red Sox.
In how many games?
No, this was in 13 innings of one game.
That's what
he carried.
Wait, how many innings?
One game, 13 innings, 235 pitches for
that had to be
train.
Like 3 games worth, right?
No.
That's like every 5th day, 15 days. That's 2 weeks, right?
That'd be really spread up now.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
It is. It's 2.5 Jordan Montgomery games.
What the hell is he doing?
Jordan Montgomery's fault.
Also, Brooke C. He wasn't even an option. He wasn't even close to being the answer, but we all learned a little bit about Dick Hughes today.
There you go. 16-game winner in 1967. Wow. Coming up on 101 ESPN, we've got our Bird Watch. Stick around. Brooke, Carrie, and Randy bringing that your way on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you need an outdoor project taken care of at your home, there's only one company to call in St. Louis, and that's Chesterfield Fence and Deck. You can call them at 800-300-4054, 800-300-4054, or find them on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. I had my fence put in by Chesterfield Fence and Deck a long time ago, and it has been perfect. It's still great. Looks like the day we got it. And when you get a fence or a deck or any project from Chesterfield Fence and Deck, you're going to get great guarantees. A 5-year labor warranty, really impressive warranties as well for all of the goods that you get. And they're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, so you can count on them. They've been in business for 55 years in St. Louis. They do great work, and they'll do great work for you. It's Chesterfield Fence and Deck. And, oh, by the way, in this month of August, mention that Randy sent you to Chesterfield Fence and Deck and get 20% off any outdoor project you have done, whether it's a fence, a deck, sunroom, screen room, pergola. You'll get great work, and you will love it from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Take it from me, Randy Carricker. When you get it done from Chesterfield Fence and Deck, it's going to be awesome. 800-300-4054 on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. Time for Birdwatch here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carrie, and Randy. Brooke, what do you got for us today?
Well, mine is a bird watch, but if you were hoping to see Mason win this week or next week, you might have to wait just a tad bit longer. We were discussing this earlier on the show about when we will see Mason Wynn come up here. I think all of us want to see Mason Wynn because it gives you something to be excited about as you watch the rest of the season and whatever that will look like. Derek Gould of the Post-Dispatch reporting yesterday, and I know that John Mozeliak mentioned this as well, kind of hinting towards it, there will probably be mid to late August in order to preserve his rookie status heading into the offseason. Right now, Mason Wynn is doing everything that you would hope when it comes to promotion. 16 home runs this season, 56 RBI, 281 average so far. Over his last 29 games specifically is when he has 9 home runs and 3 steals.
Brooke, he's going to be great. So, yeah, let's get him here.
Yes.
Let's get him here.
Were you playing? Nice. I thought you were about to play some music.
I was.
For a second.
I was.
Were you doing the win, 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 win? There you go.
There we go.
I was waiting for it because I saw that you
nice.
put your finger over there to get it ready, and I was like, I think that his song is coming. Is that his? I need somebody to text in.
Song,
that needs
it has to be, right?
Needs to be.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm going to go with one Tyler O'Neill. I know he has been a topic of discussion for a long time since he's been here this season, last season. Would he be traded at the deadline? He was not. He is still here playing left field for your St. Louis Cardinals. And since his return from the IL, he is batting .324, an OPS of .880, 11 hits, 4 of those are doubles, only 1 home run, which was last night, but has been doing a very good job. Made a great play in outfield a few nights ago where he threw the ball and threw the runner out at home and gave you a little forward roll for Flair. He is as advertised when healthy, and I think that's the one thing that the Cardinals have been banking on, his health. Can he do this for an entire season and then do it again the next year? That's kind of been the question about him his entire career here. And if he's able to do that, stay healthy, he's your everyday left fielder. And if he if he does great and does well enough towards the end of the season and you decide to move him, his value is going to be much higher at the end of the season than it was at the trade deadline. So now you have something where you can part and potentially get a starting pitcher in return. So I think all things point to signs pointing up for Tyler O'Neill, whether it be here or elsewhere. But he is a very, very, very good baseball player. His main thing is availability.
That's
Staying
my
healthy.
question. Yeah, the main ability, right?
Yes.
The main one.
I don't recall any athlete where you spent the better part of 5 years being hurt all the time and then all of a sudden turned into a healthy person.
It's generally not the case. But, Randy, if you can keep him healthy, what we got, 6 weeks left?
Yeah.
If you can keep him healthy for 6 weeks and then say, hey, we did our job. He's great. And then you take him and you let him go elsewhere. And that's someone else's problem.
I think the Cardinals would be seduced if he plays 50 out of 54 games or 46 out of 54 games. I would think that the Cardinals will say, "Ooh, we figured it out. We've unlocked this lock."
I wouldn't be surprised. And
I wouldn't.
Yeah. And the thing is even in 2021, the year that we all hold on to with Tyler O'Neill, he was injured even in that season.
Yeah.
And so this has been a continuation, and he's a great athlete, as you mentioned, CD, when he is healthy, and a great person as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because I could see a scenario where they even keep him going to next season, maybe move him at the trade deadline, because of what has happened with Paul DeJong, where you gave Paul DeJong a little bit more of a chance, where you were able to get something in return out of him. There was times that you probably could have DFA'd Paul DeJong.
Yeah,
and you could say that maybe the same thing about Tyler O'Neill. And do you think that gives them that little flicker of hope of like, maybe we should just try to see what we can get out of him?
You're holding on to that 2021 season, as you should. I mean, 138 games played, top 10 in MVP voting, Gold Glove for the second year in a row. That is the potential of what he is. Can he stay healthy?
I will give this to the Cardinals. They are persistent, whether it was Reyes or Flaherty or O'Neill or DeJong. They give guys every opportunity to succeed with their organization.
You're going to have to prove that you can. I won't say every. I won't say every.
Okay, not every opportunity.
It's been a while since we haven't mentioned his name, so I thought I'd just bring it back
That's
up.
the injured guys. He had his 18th home run last night.
Good for him.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
Yeah, he's doing really, really well.
He's doing great.
He's really good. Guys, I'm going to go.
Making the most of his opportunities.
Yeah, right.
Wonderful is what I feel when we're together.
Yeah, there we go. The Cardinals, when they originally allowed Jordan Walker to make the club out of spring training, in the infamous video of Oli Marmol with Jordan Walker, he said, "We love the way you deal with adversity." Credit to the Cardinals for allowing Jordan Walker to work through his current adversity. Last 28 days, 21 games, hitting only .216 with a .284 on base, .378 slug, .662 on base. He has 3 homers in those 28 days and 6 RBIs, but he's dealing with adversity and has not dealt with it much adversity in his baseball life. So for the Cardinals to allow him to battle through this will only make him better and more consistent over the years. And those dry spells that he's dealing with right now that have taken a month, they'll get shorter and shorter and shorter as his career unfolds, because they aren't sitting him down because he's not hitting the ball in the air enough.
Please, just don't send him down. That would be so silly. There's been plenty of other people who've gone through dry spells that you just keep up here. Let him work through all this.
Yeah, and we know he's going to be good, and we know that he's going to wind up being just a good all-around player. He's a good athlete. By the way, yesterday, Oli Marmol was asked about the defense of Jordan Walker, and if we could get number 10 there, Matthew. This is really great radio here.
You know what I did like that while Rocc goes for that. His last at bat yesterday, it was a 9-pitch walk. I mean, so he worked the count. He was down 0-2, worked his way back into the account, and was able to work a walk. So that's hopefully, when you start walking, seeing the ball better, maybe you're not swinging at things you shouldn't be swinging at, and maybe we can see something better here in the next couple of days.
Right. And defensively, yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of Jordan Walker's first ever game in the outfield.
Look at that.
So that's pretty cool. Here is Ollie Marmol on the plan for developing Walker, finally, in the outfield.
That speaks to kind of Walker and how we'll finish off this year. And one is making sure that he's fresh and healthy. This will be a very long season for him, one of his longest. So you don't want to see a decline in performance just because he's exhausted. That's one thing. Two, he is going to need the reps in right field, and we're going to get him out there as much as possible to make sure that happens. But his DH days, and one of the days being today, was to have a heavy work day. And he got here early. He worked on a couple specifics with Willie and our staff, getting behind the ball, throwing the bases, and also going back on balls and working against the wall. So we wanted to make sure that we have targeted things that we're doing every day that he is DHing or has an off day. Today being one of those that allows him to kind of go hard and still DH.
So you've got a little plan. You can't work with a better guy than Willie McGee. And I appreciate that the Cardinals are getting him out there early. And again,
wonderful is what I feel when we're together.
Okay, Total Sunshine Lollipops here. It's good that the Cardinals aren't in a pennant race. It's good that the Cardinals aren't going to be in the playoffs because Jordan Walker would be exhausted. And we want to have opportunities to set him down.
No.
During the last 2 months. No, Kerry, I'm telling you. I just heard the manager say
No.
We don't want him to be exhausted. We don't want him to get hurt. So you don't want him to have to play every day in a pennant race. So it's good that the Cardinals aren't in a pennant race.
Well, here's the thing about the playoffs,
Sunshine
Randy.
Lollipops.
Here's the thing about the playoffs, Randy. As tired as you are, you somehow get a boost of energy. Adrenaline rushes through you when you're playing, in those playoff games. It's cold outside. It's October. It's electric. The stadium is buzzing. Yeah, that'll get you through if you're tired. I don't think that's what we want. I don't think we want to be sitting around not in the playoffs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think playing is better.
I'll never forget. I think it was 06 against the Padres here. And I ran into Ken Caminiti, who was a great guy, the late, great Ken Caminiti. He was a big steroid guy, but a great guy. And just because you take steroids doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
Everybody was doing it, Randy.
Yeah, right. And, I covered the whole season, and he had played the whole season. And I walked out, and I said, man, aren't you just alive here? And this is unbelievable. Because you had the big crowd, and he's taking BP, and it's... He said that it's just a different animal altogether. And you're right. The blood courses through your veins.
It's different.
And it just feels different once you get to the playoffs. And it doesn't matter how tired you are, you're energized on the first day of the playoffs.
You are going to be ready to roll once that you get to the stadium. The drive up to the stadium is just like, you feel it. The city is different. Playoffs are a different time.
Yeah. And then I subsequently found out with him he had amphetamines too, which kind of helped.
That kind of helps. That helps. Just having all that stuff.
Exactly.
Randy, we got a text from the 314 said, Randy, quit playing that dumb song. What song are they talking about?
I don't know, CD.
Oh, that one.
That's it. I love that song.
We're together. See, Sunshine Lollipops is happy at every single turn. We are happy. I'm happy at every single... I'm going to smile. Sure, it might seem like it's bad. It might seem like the Cardinals are only going to win 66, 68 games. But you know what? We got
Are we going to win that many?
Maybe not. Maybe not. But hey, it's we're talking about baseball here. We're talking about a game, and not practice. Not practice. We're talking about game. And I am somebody who just enjoys sports, enjoys competition, and I don't want to be sad around the sports. I want it to be complete. That's what I want. Sunshine Lollipops.
Oh, you know what's something that's not so Sunshine and Lollipops? Somebody did point out on the text line, you don't develop at this level, though, right?
You're not supposed to, but the game has changed.
But didn't somebody say that?
I think Ollie Marmol may have said that.
Somebody did
Tony
say
said
that.
Tony said that.
Yeah.
That's why Tony would trade all the get all the kids traded.
Oh, these kids
I'm just saying that there was something said about that earlier this season.
There was. But baseball has foisted this problem. It's foisted a great word or what? But when they cut the number of minor league teams and cut the draft, and there's not as much competition and there's not as much ability for players to develop because there just aren't as many minor league teams, you're going to get to the major leagues quicker. That's a baseball problem. That's not the kids' problem. It's actually not the manager's fault. And baseball thinks that their product is as good. Who am I to say? Attendance is up. TV ratings are doing fine. Revenues are up. Who am I to say that the product that people are watching isn't something that they enjoy, because clearly they are enjoying it. That being said, as somebody that was introduced to quality baseball during the Whitey Herzog era, I like defense, I like base running, I like the ability to bunt. I like
All
the
those
ability
things.
of players to come up and be able to play on the day they get here.
You can bunt?
It's allowed.
Oh.
It's allowed.
I thought that was one of the rule changes.
No, you might, just because you're a Cardinal fan, you might think that's the case.
Okay,
But
I hadn't seen it much this year. I thought maybe it was illegal.
Yeah. Coming up, our Rush Hour Reset on 101 ESPN. Time for the Rush Hour Reset at 9:04. Your time check brought to you by Carlson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler, with Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis. I'm Randy Carrick. You can watch us on the YouTube every single day. Just go to the YouTube and subscribe to 101 ESPN's YouTube page. We're at 101 ESPN STL, and we would love to have you. I'm talking. Well, no, I'm not talking to you because you're already watching. But we would love to have you watch
Your
us.
friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're
check
your
us out
friends.
on the tube.
Yeah, check us out on the tube, and you can also listen on the 101 ESPN app. We always like having you as part of the show. Did I say it's the time check was brought to you by Carlson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler? Rolex
There
jeweler.
it is. Now you did.
Rolex.
There we go. And our text line is always open, 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
Cardinals fall yesterday to the Minnesota Twins by a score of 3-2. It was a battle. It was a slog for 9 taut innings. And the Cardinals in the 9th inning, man, they thought they were going to get back into it.
Driven toward right. That's well hit. Kepler going back. That ball is gone. Tyler O'Neill has made it a one-run game.
Chip with the call on Bally Sports, but Jordan Walker struck out swinging. Alec Burleson hit for Tommy Edman. Burleson struck out swinging, and the Cardinals fall by a score of 3-2, despite a very nice performance by their pitcher, their number 1 pitcher, nominally at the moment, Miles Michaelis. 7 innings. He allows 2 earned runs, 3 overall, 6 hits. He struck out 7 and walked 1 in his 109 pitch effort. So go Miles Michaelis. Good job.
Did you see the shirt that he wore afterwards?
No, I did not see it.
Because remember he said, Kara, you pointed it out, where he said he didn't want to see his friends go. Wait, where is the shirt at? It's on, I posted it on Twitter. You can see right there. And he basically kind of referenced that. He said, yeah, we lost some friends, but life goes on. So, the sun's going to come up tomorrow and we got a ball game. And he's wearing a shirt that says life goes on.
Good for him.
I like that. Good for him.
Sunshine lollipop.
Sunshine and lollipop.
We may have a ball game tonight, by the way. The weather is supposed to be good tonight. Also, yesterday, the Cardinals traded longtime right-hander Jack. Well, he's been a right-hander all his life, I guess. But for them, he's been around for 7 years. Jack Flaherty traded to the Orioles. Jack Flaherty.
Okay.
The old Irish. Okay. Traded to the Orioles for 3 prospects. Infielder Cesar Pietro, who's got a famous restaurant here in town. Left-hander Drew Rahm and right-hander Zach Showalter, no relation to Buck.
That's unfortunate.
The Mets also made another deal after trading Max Scherzer on Saturday. Actually, officially, they traded him on Sunday to the Texas Rangers. The Mets traded Justin Verlander, who had signed with them last November, back to the Houston Astros, where he had spent every year since 2017. He had signed with the Mets as a free agent, now back to Houston. And the Mets, who won 101 games last year and then added to that very good core this year. A lot of people thought they were going to be a super team. Well, they have decided to bail. As a matter of fact, they told Max Scherzer, yeah, we're probably not going to, we aren't going to compete in 24, 25 at the earliest, but probably 26. And as Scherzer said, well, that math doesn't work for my contract. So he wanted out. Verlander's out. Mark Canha is out. They've got all, how'd you like to be, and I know he's making a lot of money, but how'd you like to be Francisco Lindor for the next 10 years?
You just look at all the money that you have.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do.
I think that's what helps. If I'm the Cardinals and I hear that how long the Mets are saying it's going to take them to rebuild, that's, once again, your time to capitalize this offseason when it comes to free agency. You can also pull things off via trade, but you also have to be willing to spend money and do it right.
Just like the Mets did.
Nope. I want more of the Rangers formula. I like the Rangers formula to success, minus the injury to DeGrom, but still, things have worked out well for them this season, and they went, even when injuries have occurred, they were able to go and get some even better starting pitching because of the position that they're in.
And they have a great teaching staff.
Yes.
Bruce Bochy and his staff are a great teaching staff.
So you supplement the starting rotation this offseason via trade or in free agency, and maybe you also supplement the coaching staff.
I think that'd be a good thing. Get Dusty Blake some help, maybe an assistant pitching coach that has some experience. I think that would work well with the young group that you're purportedly going to have.
Well, let's see. I'm actually excited to watch the Major League Baseball playoffs this year.
It's going to be fun.
The Cardinals aren't in it. There's going to be some coming down the stretch. There's going to be some really good games. Were you surprised that the Padres weren't sellers at the trade deadline? I thought they tried to, and then they pulled back.
Yeah.
They may have thought about it. But they're still third in their division.
I don't think they have a clue. I really don't.
I don't think they have a clue.
No, I think they feel like they can just throw money at a problem and it'll go away. They went out and got Rich Hill. They've already got starters.
Yeah.
What is he?
They're like 50.
Yeah, so I thought he's like 44.
Yeah.
But he looked great against the Cardinals.
Yeah, he did.
He looked, remember that? That was something.
Yeah, and
he
by
looked
the way,
young.
They were in on Verlander until the end yesterday too. They're weird. Meanwhile, the Mets are 50 and 56. Here's Buster Olney.
They are now cemented as one of the most disappointing teams in baseball history, given that they are the most expensive team in baseball history. So to not even make the playoffs and to be sellers at the deadline is something that they're going to be remembered for.
They are right there with some of the most ridiculously overpaid teams in history. Remember the 2012 Marlins? They went out and got Mark Burley. They got Jose Reyes. They wound up trading all these free agents that they had for just a bunch of kids from Toronto, almost the whole group. And then the 2015 Padres did the same thing. They got both Upton brothers. They got Craig Kimbrell. They loaded up, kept the guys for a year, and then bailed.
Would this be, in any sport, one of the worst contract year signings for one team where they just kind of bailed after 1 year where it clearly didn't work I
think this is like that Eagles dream team.
That's the team that came to mind for me. The dream team for the Eagles that dream never came true.
Yeah, not great. Here's the Marlins team that I referenced. They And by the way, they tried to get Albert Pujols. So the only reason they didn't get Albert, they offered him more money than the Angels did, but wouldn't give him a no-trade deal. And so they go out and they get Jose Reyes, and they already had Hanley Ramirez, and they got Carlos Lee, and then on their pitching staff, they had Burley, they had Josh Johnson, they got Heath Bell as their closer. They just loaded up. Carlos Zambrano was there, and they just wound up being terrible. That year, that particular edition of the Marlins, 69-93. Remember, they had hired as their manager the old Ozzie Guillen, the old White Sox manager, and it was an unmitigated disaster. And then the same thing happened a few years later, and now it's happened to the Mets. It just goes to show, if you're going to go for it, you need to go for it for more than 1 year. You need to try.
Yes.
Don't just say, okay, we'll throw money, we'll hope that we can put it together for a year, and then take it apart. That's just not how baseball go.
No, that's not how it works whatsoever. It will be very interesting to see the approach, because I saw a text that came in, and I've already lost it, but it's somewhere in here where it's like, well, why should we trust that the person who got us into this mess will get us out of this mess? I'm assuming that they're referring to the Pobo Mo.
Yep.
And maybe that is a fair question because of how things have gone this season. And he even, what was it that he said? He said it wasn't on Oli Marmol, the coaching staff, that this is more about roster construction. That does give you a little bit of a concern going into the offseason and how they will approach that.
Yeah, and obviously Bill DeWitt Jr. believes that Mo, despite the drop-off of this franchise over the course of several years in terms of its talent level, he believes that Mo is the guy to turn it around. But philosophically, they've also admitted that they have to change their model. And that's the only reason not the only reason, but that's a reason that I cling to hope, is that hopefully they'll understand that they have been passed up in terms of philosophy by a lot of franchises, and they need to do things now that other franchises have done to pass them and do them better.
What are those things? I mean, spending money in free agency would be one. Spending it wisely.
Spending money wisely in the international market. I mean, look at the way that the Reds are built. And granted, the Reds lost 100 games last year. But they go out and they get Luis Castillo in the international market. Then they trade him for a bunch of guys that are very useful. They go out and get Ellie De La Cruz out of the international market, and he's the spark plug for a really good team. They made a fantastic deal to get both Steer and Strand. They've done a really good job of tanking and building a team. But the other thing they've done, David Bell has built a really good teaching staff there. It looks like Pittsburgh is right behind them with O'Neill, Cruz, and they've got young Latin players on the way. The Cardinals, I don't think, have done a really good job of making the international market work for them. Granted, they've made some trades. They've been able to utilize some players to get players back. They traded Oviedo last year to get Quintana. They traded the third baseman, Montero, in the Arenado trade. But the guys aren't helping the Cardinals. I think they need to do a better job there. I think development is the biggest issue for me for the Cardinals. Minor league development and getting players here that contribute from the minor leagues.
Specifically pitching. And that's what that article that Derek Gould put out in the Post-Dispatch is, how this erosion, what we've seen with pitching and the prospects, has really just been culminating over the past few years. Specifically, he points out in 2021 when you were able to call up and promote players and how that didn't pan out. And the Cardinals minor leaguers had a combined ERA of 5.22 in 2021. And then this season, the top four affiliates have an overall ERA of 4.57.
Yeah. And that might be a talent issue, but you got to be better. Somehow, whether it's talent or whether it's development, you just have to be better. And that's what the Cardinals need to figure out. So that's one of the things that they need to do. But they also need to be more effective in spending money. I think we can all agree that since the Cardinals signed Carlos Beltran after 2011, before the 2012 season, they haven't done a really good job of spending in free agency, with the big three being Leak, Fowler, and now Contreras.
You got to figure it out. You got to get it done, and hopefully that leads to winning games.
That's our Rush Hour Reset on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Rocc and Roll, Adam Wainwright. Wednesdays with Waino at the bottom of the hour here on 101 ESPN. I want you to know about my friends at Clubhouse Turf. They are the exclusive partner of Celebrity Greens here in St. Louis. And I've talked to you a lot about how you can improve your golf game by improving your short game with a synthetic green from Clubhouse Turf here in St. Louis. You can give them a call, 314-834-2343, 314-834-2343, or clubhouseturf.com, and they'll create your own backyard golf experience so that you can improve not only your putting, but your chip game and your bunker shots. The only company to call is Clubhouse Turf. They also want you to know that if you have brown spots in your backyard from pets or areas where you just can't get grass to grow, Clubhouse Turf has a solution. Synthetic turf is durable, easily maintained, and sustainable, and it requires no mowing, no trimming, no watering, fertilizers, or chemicals. It's an investment that literally pays for itself. Get in touch with Clubhouse Turf at clubhouseturf.com or call 314-834-2343. It's an amazing way to improve your golf game or just have a better looking yard. A Celebrity Green from Clubhouse Turf. It is time for Rock and Roll here on 101 ESPN. What kind of music you got in here? Oh, we got both kinds, country and Western.
Oh, God.
That's a really good clip. I might need to make a new opening.
Blues
that has
Brothers,
that one
yeah.
in there as well. Country and Western.
Yeah.
When he asked for like 9 slices of bread, and she just the look she gives him. God, I love that
4
movie.
fried chickens and a Coke with dry toast. Yeah, four slices of dry toast.
Yeah, 4 slices of dry toast. I love that movie so much. I had a thought.
There's a guy back here who wants 4 fried chickens and a Coke. Jake. There's another guy that wants 4 slices of dry toast. Elwood, the Blues Brothers. There you go.
The fun part is randomly the fry cook just comes out, starts playing like the saxophone.
Guitar Matt Murphy.
Guitar Matt Murphy, that's it. I need to watch that movie again.
Great
Jeez.
movie.
Something we've been talking about this entire season has been odd messages.
By the way, they call a nun the penguin. You got to throw that out there. Yeah, go ahead.
Is odd messaging from the Cardinals. Whether it be certain players are going to be your starting position player or just certain things like effort level, your catcher's going to be in the outfield. Or, sorry, your catcher's only going to be in the outfield from the manager's perspective. The Pobo did not like that so much, and he shut it down immediately. And some of the things the Cardinals threw out at the deadline, them just playing the game, the Jordan Hicks stuff, even the Tyler O'Neill stuff. Something jumped out at me from Derek Gould's piece yesterday prior to the deadline, and he said, because of Tyler O'Neill's recent stretches on the IL, the Cardinals aimed to see if they could get improved or offer after he returned to the lineup, and two sources outside the Cardinals described how teams looking for offense see him as a part of a group of available outfilders. It was just another sequence of the Cardinals putting something out there that was clearly a smokescreen. And it's just, my thing in the offseason is, I just want to have faith in the Cardinals organization again. There was a time where, other than the injury and the medical staff, there was a lot of built-in faith with the Cardinals organization, and we didn't run into these situations. In fact, we constantly made fun of other franchises for running into these situations. So throw out numbers like number 1 pitching staff or $200 million spent in money. I'm just looking for the Cardinals to give me a little bit of confidence in the organization again, Randy Carricker.
More transparency.
Yes! I wouldn't hate that.
Well, and it's been very unlike the Cardinals this season to do all of these things. It's almost like you have to, I don't know, not take their word for a step.
And I don't like that. I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that they were probably trying to trade Tyler O'Neill, but what they were getting in return, the conversation was probably not as I said earlier, he is a really good baseball player. His value is going to be greater at the end of the season than it was at the trade deadline if he stays healthy for these next 60 games or wherever many games there are left.
All true. My issue, though, is that we had a segment on the show last week where it was like, guys, Tyler O'Neill's going to get traded. And then 2 days later, the Cardinals were putting out reports that, no, we like him a lot. We want to stick with him. We're not going to sell low right now. And it was... Something wasn't lining up between the logic that seemed kind of on the surface and then what the Cardinals were putting out there.
Well, if you are... He's a top 10 MVP candidate. He has been. He is a 2-time Gold Glove winner.
That's true.
He has been, because when he's healthy, what you're seeing from Tyler O'Neill is really what you can expect. The issue is not his play. It's not a lack thereof. It's the inability to stay healthy. And so if you know he has that potential to be as great as he has been or as great as he can be, you want to get value for what you're trading, and you're not going to trade him for something that is not as valuable as what his worth is. He was one of the few, I think, on the roster that they said that they probably valued correctly. And like, nah, we're not trading him. We won't move him for that. But if you stay healthy here, Tyler O'Neill, for the next month and a half, well, it's been fun.
I just think
get something.
The organization could use a vice president messaging and get everybody on the same page as to what you're going to say, so that there isn't confusion among your fan base as to whether or not Carlos Smart or Wilson Contreras is going to get an opportunity to play the outfield, or what Zach Thompson's role is going to be, or where he's going to go. If you just have somebody walking around saying, okay, here's what we're saying. Okay, get it from Mo, get it from Ollie, whoever you get it from. But okay, here are our talking points, just so that we are consistent. Because the level of consistency, and I kind of get Parcells and Belichick now not wanting to have their people, their assistant coaches, talking to the media, because you do want to have a singular message, and we get a lot of mixed messages from this organization.
There's just too many examples of that in one season. So the culmination of that with what happened with pitching, it's no wonder that we saw just this mess of a season where they were struggling to find identity and even who they were as a group, or even come together as a group, because these guys, it seemed like they could never get on the same page. And when you have mixed messages like that, it's not that hard to understand why you would be in this predicament.
Right. Mixed messages for the people in the clubhouse are the worst.
Yes.
If they don't know exactly what the plan is, and that's all they ask for is communication. That's such a big thing. Why is Craig Berube so successful? Because he communicates so well, right? That's, to me, in this day and age, as important as anything a coach or a manager does, is make sure that the players know exactly where they stand. And not that Ollie doesn't communicate well with the players, because he does. The players know where they stand as far as he's concerned. But then the next day, you have Mozeliak saying, well, no, Contreras is not going to play in the outfield. So there just needs to be consistent messaging.
Consistent, yes.
And, man, the VP of messaging would be great, because I also think things like Mozeliak coming out and being like, we will, and making proclamations the way he kind of has the last year has been, I don't think at any point it has been better for the Cardinals that he's made us these definitive statements instead of maybe being just a little bit more, cards close to the vest. It's an odd thing. The messaging VP, that's the hire right now. I think they need to prioritize in the offseason right next to a number one pitcher.
Brooke, you
just a human feel consultant.
Human feel consultant.
Okay.
Is that a separate? Is that a separate job, or is that a sub job of the VP
job.
of
Just
messaging?
A consultant, somebody that comes in and said, "Yeah, I don't know if humans will react well to that message."
A vibe consultant.
Yeah.
Different
the vibe.
Yeah, different buckets is what we're talking about. Got it. Thank you, Matthew.
You can put it in most terms. I like that.
Yeah. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, it is Wednesday, and that means Adam Wainwright is going to join us. He has some interesting things to say about Jack Flaherty. We'll talk to him about Jack Flaherty and Jordan Montgomery's departure and what's going on with Big League Impact next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I got to tell you, if I'm going to sell my house, I'm getting in touch with Gloria Liu from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And you need to as well. She said summertime is here and sellers are still in the driver's seat. And despite higher rates, inventory is still low. However, time is of the essence if you want to get the most money for your home. I've known Gloria for several years now, and I can tell you that she does great work in trying to help you sell your home, and she does. Her name is her promise, and that says it all. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's mastered the home selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, and that's guaranteed. Does your agent compare? Gloria has solutions for every type of home seller. For sellers who want a fast sale with no hassles, Gloria's 24-hour cash offer solution is a great option to consider. No showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer bid from Gloria's database of buyers in what she calls her cash offer bid box. Call Gloria at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals finished out their trade deadline yesterday with a move of Jack Flaherty to the Baltimore Orioles for 3 prospects. Infielder Cesar Pietro, he's now rated as the number 9 prospect in the Cardinals system. Left-handed pitcher Drew Rom, now number 26 in the Cardinals system, and right-handed pitcher Zach Showalter, who is currently not ranked. Cardinals back in action for Game 2 against the Minnesota Twins tonight after falling 3-2 yesterday. It'll be Dakota Hudson, the righty, 1-0 on the season with a 4.19 ERA, facing off against Joe Ryan for the Twins, 9-7 with a 4.06 ERA for Joe Ryan. And also on the trade market, it was St. Louis City SC getting active in the penultimate day of the transfer window for the MLS. They acquired left back Anthony Markinich from the Colorado Rapids in exchange for $75,000 in general allocation money for 2023 and City SC's 2024 first-round pick in the MLS Super Draft. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Adam Wainwright scheduled to join us momentarily here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And they've got their big fantasy football league starting up August 18th. You'll be able to go over to the ballpark, meet a lot of the players, go out on the field and play catch. And the Charity Fantasy Football League is fantastic. You can learn more by going to bigleagueimpact.org and just click on the events page, and you'll be able to play charity fantasy football with Adam and a bunch of his teammates. It'll be a great time. Waino, Tommy Edmond, Drew Verhagen, Lars Newtbar, Steven Matz, Ryan Helsley, and more will be playing fantasy football. And Waino, he's a very good fantasy football player. He doesn't always have the best years, but he's a very good fantasy football player, and he puts a lot of effort into it.
Fantasy football is amazing. It's so much fun. It's hard to do when you got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure you got guys in the lineup. And, that COVID year was torture on fantasy football.
It was bad.
Oh, my goodness.
Impossible.
Oh, yeah.
I love fantasy football, but it does get very, very competitive. So, I don't know.
We need to come up with a team name, by the way, and we'll have the listenership help us out with a team name for the opening drive. It's got to be better than the opening drive. It's got to be something more creative with maybe a player's name involved.
I'm trying to
figure something out.
We can do that.
Mine was Battlehawks for Life for the long time at KMOV with our fantasy football league. And then also for a little bit, Kamara Loves the Camera.
Oh, that's a good one.
Evan Kamara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't love those cameras in Vegas now, did he?
No, I did change it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, one of the things that we'll talk to Adam about is, and I asked him a couple of weeks ago why it was so difficult for pitchers to get through 5 innings, and the game has changed a lot. But the Cardinals had the draft 2 months ago now. No, it was last month. It was July. And they took that pitcher out of Stanford, Quinn Matthews, right? Is that the correct name?
Oh, Quinn Matthews, yes.
And he threw 156 pitches in a game. We were talking earlier about Nolan Ryan throwing 235 in a game.
In 3 games.
No, just one game, Kerry. He went 13 innings. He threw 235 pitches.
They only played 9 innings in a game, Randy. And pitchers only are allowed to pitch 6 innings.
CD, this was back in my day.
Oh, this is not this new age.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Was Nolan Ryan really good? Was he pretty good?
He was pretty good, yeah.
He's like a Hall of Famer, or
he kept throwing, getting 300 and more. He won 1 year. He had 383 strikeouts in one season.
That's amazing. Is his arm still attached to his body?
It still is. Wow. As a matter of fact, his arm was, when he was 46, I guess, he was still pitching. And when the Cardinals were playing the Rangers in the World Series back in 2011, there was a story that came out that Nolan Ryan had wanted Rangers minor leaguers to throw more pitches and more innings, to work to the point where they would throw so that they were durable enough to throw pitches and throw innings, because he saw what's happening now coming. And the players' agents went bananas and started calling the Rangers, saying, you can't throw my guy that many pitches, thinking that their player wouldn't get hurt if he didn't throw enough pitches. But the players kept getting hurt anyway.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The thing about injuries that I've always found intriguing is, when people tear an ACL on a non-contact injury or somebody pops an Achilles. For me, generally, I truly believe that those things are going to happen at some point regardless. If you have a shoulder issue, it's just about the overuse of a muscle, of a tendon, of a ligament that you are continuously doing the same thing over and over and over again. It gets stressed out, and eventually it pops. Now, it doesn't happen for everybody, but, it could be you could pitch 233 pitches in one game, or you could pitch 80, and it happens in the game where it's 80. It's just about the overuse. There is no, I guess, rhyme or reason for when a person is going to get injured because you just don't know.
Yeah. Quinn Matthews, by the way, 6'5", 188 pounds.
They got to put some meat on those bones. There's no doubt about that.
I'm sure that he's trying. He has to be one of those where the metabolism is just running
through him.
Yeah, if I had a little bit of that would be amazing.
I do have a question. Do you think that this notion of pitchers pitching too many innings, do you think that started with Johan Santana when he threw that no-hitter and didn't he throw too many pitches that game, and that kind of...
It was before that.
But that felt like, to me, that was the beginning. That was when I first started noticing that people were concerned about the number of pitches that pitchers were throwing a game.
But from a health standpoint, I don't know why they came up with 100 pitches. But the Santana fake no-hitter was...
Is a fake no-hitter?
Yeah. The Cardinals got a hit against him. Adam Wainwright is with us. And Adam, I know that you're... First of all, good morning. How you doing?
Morning. Doing great.
Good.
How are y'all?
Everything's good. Kerry just brought up the Johan Santana no-hitter, and it seems like the Cardinals had a hit in that game. I know that you're happy that any pitcher gets a no-hitter, even if it's against you. Well, maybe not. But did you think that Johan Santana really got a no-hitter?
Well, I appreciate y'all bringing that back up because I was the other pitcher that day. I'll give him credit for it because that's how it ended up on the line, but Carlos Beltran hit a double down the line that was clearly foul or clearly fair by several feet that was called foul. I have no idea how that happens, but it happened. And so I think it was supposed to happen for him. It was right at the end of his career, and it just seemed like something that was supposed to happen. It must have been because Carlos's ball hit in the infield in the clay and made a foot inside the line. It was called foul. I've never seen it.
Amazing. And the reason this came up, pitches and innings, Adam, is because this morning we were talking about Nolan Ryan back in 1974 had a game where he pitched 13 innings through 235 pitches. The Cardinals drafted a pitcher out of Stanford who threw 156 pitches in a game. At your all-time most durable, how many pitches could you have effectively thrown in a game, do you think? Could you have gotten to 150?
Oh, yeah, easily. 138, I think, is my record in the big leagues. I did 128 a couple of years ago in a 1-0 shutout against the Cubs. It was actually Kisner's first ever day.
That was your birthday game, was it? Was it your birthday game? No, that was Yachty.
Yeah, I can't remember. But the difference between 130 and 150, if you're spacing it out over, let's say we're spacing it out over 11 or 12 innings, is not that much. Now, if you're going to throw 150 in 6 innings, that's a lot. You're going to throw 150 in 9 innings, that's a lot. But if you're spacing it out over a few more innings, that's a lot. But I'd say Miles and I were talking about it the other day. These old guys you talk to, they believe that bore throwing is actually the answer to kind of break your shoulder in and just kind of callous over some of those muscles that get injured sometimes. And they're probably right. I mean, I don't think anybody's doubting the fact that Nolan Ryan wasn't throwing 80 miles an hour for 13 innings. He was letting it eat, So there's a certain amount of throwing that now. Also, he was a freak and he was a once in a lifetime player, but there's a certain amount of throwing that kind of builds your arm up to be able to take a little bit more strength. And here's the thing. If you think you can, and if you're trained for that kind of stuff, you can. And if you think you can't, and you don't train for that kind of stuff, you can. That's all there is to it.
Hey, Adam, when you were a young pitcher in the Braves organization, did you work at all with Leo Mazzoni and go through his system where he did have his guys throwing every day, right?
Yeah, I worked with Leo some, and he threw 2 bullpens between sessions. And that just allowed you to kind of learn your mechanics really well. I think as time has gone by, back then it was all about pitch making. It was all about, learning your body really well and going through at a slower speed, and then saving higher velocity reps for the game. Now it seems like everybody is all about these bullpens throwing them at max effort. And so you couldn't do that with two in between. But there's still some pitchers who throw 2 bullpens in between. I know DeGrom does it. Several people did. I did it all the way up until the big leagues. And then that just wasn't nobody was doing it anymore. And so I just stopped doing it also. But it did teach me how to work through my mechanics and my delivery and just throw the ball at a slower speed. I probably saved a lot of bullets doing that, actually.
Waino, the trade deadline is always stressful and hard, especially this one, seeing teammates and guys I'm sure you consider friends going. You had a nice tweet that you put out last night saying, I'm going to miss these guys. We sent some good ones out this week. Been with this guy, and it was Jack Flaherty that you tagged for a while now. Orioles, you're getting a winner. I know that you had a very close relationship with Jack. How hard is it to see him go?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately part of the game, and it's the hardest part of baseball. I think and I'm sure Mo would tell you the same thing. The hardest part about his job is having to let people go sometimes, and trade people that you kind of brought up through your system, and I mean, since the high school days for Jack, and watched him become a big leaguer, watched him become an all-star type player, a almost Cy Young type player, and to see him go to another team is sad. He's going to do great over there. Baltimore's going to love him. He's going to win a lot of big games for them, and he's going to help them. He's, like I said in the tweet, Jack's a winner. Jack knows Jack's won some big games for us. I think his history, his lineage, the stuff he did here, no one can ever take from him, and no one can ever take from the fans that witnessed it. And it was a great relationship. Jack was a fiery competitor that pushed his teammates to be better, and now he's going to go do that in Baltimore. It's, like you said, it was sad for me. We hugged about 14 times on the way out the door, and it's just part of it, though. It's when Skip, I always before the last couple of days of the trade deadline, our last pitchers meeting, I just spoke up. I said, hey, listen, y'all enjoy these last few days together. Whoever's going to get traded in here, they're saying a lot of us will get traded. So just enjoy these last few days. Make sure you laugh a lot and hug a lot and hang out with each other as much as possible. Because when you look back, when you get my age, when you look back, you remember what you remember more than anything is the relationships built, the friendships that you made, and after getting traded, there's some guys in here that you'll never see again. You'll hardly ever talk to them ever again. So just enjoy these last few days.
That's always the craziest part to me is guys you spend so much time with, you just hit it. You may not talk to them again just in passing. And that's probably one of the toughest things about this sport and professional sports is the relationships that you have, they kind of dwindle away when guys are no longer in that locker room anymore.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Everyone's got families. Everyone goes in a million different ways, different directions. And it's not as if everyone lives in the same neighborhood, in St. Louis for the rest of their lives. And that's not like we're all from St. Louis. We're all from all over the place. And so guys go back to Hawaii. They go back to L.A. They go back to Georgia and Florida and Massachusetts and all these different places. and their families are on different schedules. And, you know, I always talk about Skip Schumacher. When he and I were teammates, we spent almost every waking day together from AAA all the way until 2011. So from 2004 all the way to 2011, Skip's family and my family basically were growing up together, right? His wife, my wife hung out all the time. Our kids were being raised with each other, and then all of a sudden he goes to L.A., and you never see the guy again, you know, hardly. I mean, until he was a coach. You'd see him across the way when he was with San Diego, and then he was a coach with us. But before that, it's just a good reminder. You know, this game is tough because you get so close with people, and then at the snap of a finger, you spend almost zero time with them. You spend almost more time with them than your family, or probably spend more time with your family, and then all of a sudden you never see them again. That's the hardest part of our game for sure.
Yeah. Adam, you talked about trading players away. You all got some young players in return, and we've been talking a lot about development of young players, pitchers specifically. What would you say is some of the most important things for younger pitchers trying to make their way into the big leagues?
Well, the hardest thing about being a professional pitcher and really a professional athlete, I think, is understanding who you are as a competitor. So it takes time. You know, I sat down with one of our young pitchers the other day that was getting kind of frustrated, and I said, look, it takes time to know exactly who you are out there on that mound. And it's crazy to think that, because you spend your whole life doing something and you think you know your grips, and you think you know your pitches and how you like to use them. But then there's this whole other thing when you get out there of learning exactly who you are and what type of pitcher you want to be, and embracing that exactly. Now, when you spend time learning your mechanics and your delivery, you spend time learning your sequencing and how you like to approach hitters and batters, and what works for you, and 2-strike counts, and how you like to get ahead, and all these things. When you spend time really learning that, it speeds that process along. So I always tell guys to make sure they get in the film room and watch their own deliveries, even more than they watch the other hitters they're going to face. Learn your own delivery so that when something goes wrong out there on the mound, you can fix it while you're out there. And you don't have disaster games where you go through things and you go, man, I kept missing up and arm side, and I just don't know why that was. Well, let's learn that so that when it happens again and you need to do something on the fly, you can do it and avoid a 3-run inning. Instead, you walk to one batter, but then you get right back to it and you go, okay, I know my checkpoints. I know my keys to fixing that spot right there, and now we're back at it.
Adam, so much great stuff happening with Big League Impact. You got the fantasy football draft that's coming up, or the fantasy football event that's coming up August 18th, plus the All Win campaign, and you have a lot of players around baseball that are participating in All Win.
Yeah, we do, and that's a good thing. Where Jack's going to Baltimore too, where we got a bunch of Orioles doing the All Win campaign up there with Kyle Gibson. But we do at St. Louis. We've got great campaigns. We've got great campaigns going with a few different players. You can check that out at bigleagueimpact.org. See what all our guys are up to. We're supporting here in St. Louis. We're supporting the St. Louis Public Schools Foundation, the Little Bit Foundation, which is helping to remove all the barriers to learning. Habitat for Humanity, Backstoppers, which supports spouses and families of first responders. Crisis Aid, which is an amazing organization that my wife and I support. And then we've also got fantasy football going on, and sign-ups are still available. Stephen Matz, Drew Verhagen, Nuke Barr, Helsley, Edmund, myself, we're all going to be joining for an August 18th kickoff party at Busch Stadium, and we'd love to have everybody there.
And by the way, Adam, last thing, you've told us all along, hey, Stephen Matz has great stuff. He's just got to use that and apply that great stuff. What's happened over the last 5 or 6 starts for Stephen Matz?
Well, you never stop learning as a competitor, and I think when Stephen went to the bullpen, he really started attacking guys because, you know, he didn't go out there thinking, all right, I got 6-7 innings to work something out. You know, he might have only 1 or 2 innings to show that he was ready to pitch that 3rd or 4th inning, and he would go out there and he'd attack guys with his fastball, get ahead, worked that changeup right off of that, and then he started finding a little breaking ball that he liked, that he could throw comfortably, and then he started throwing a little slider to go with it. So now you got a guy that came back to the starting rotation, attacking hitters, getting ahead, throwing his fastball for strikes up and down, which was important for him, working his changeup off of that, and now throwing those 2 different breaking balls. So he's got 4 different ways to get you out now, and his fastball just is so electric. It plays up, and it's just really hard to time up because it's got unique movement. And he works that up, but he works it down now too. So hitters can't just be waiting on one area. They can't be waiting on one height. Now they really got to work on hitting lots of different quadrants, lots of different speeds. And, any pitcher's tough when that happens. Yeah, bud.
Waino, always good to have you with us. Thanks so much. And does the little guy want to say something on 101 ESPN?
Can you say, hey, Mr. Andy?
Adam, thanks so much for the...
Can you say, hey, Miss Brooke? Say, hey, Miss Brooke.
Hey, Caleb.
Oh, you're getting shy now.
Oh, now he's getting shy. I'll say hi to Caleb. Hi, Caleb. Oh,
he's a cutie. Waino, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Have a great day, a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. There's Caleb. Adam and Caleb joining us as they do every Wednesday on 101 ESPN. More coming up as we head down the stretch on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you need some work done at your house, whether it is your air conditioner or your furnace as we head towards the cooler months, but maybe you have an appliance issue. Maybe the dishwasher or the clothes washer is out. Maybe your refrigerator. Well, Hoffman Brothers can come out and repair those, and they do fantastic work. We've had Hoffman Brothers out. They actually fixed our refrigerator. We thought we would be able to get our washer fixed. Couldn't. And they said, you know what? No problem. We can come out the next day and install a new washer, and they did for us, and it's been fantastic. If you get in touch with Hoffman Brothers at hoffmanbros.com, you'll be able to experience the exact same sort of great service that the Carricker family has gotten from Hoffman Brothers. They're at hoffmanbros.com, HOFFMANN, hoffmanbros.com. It's a great St. Louis company. They have great employees that are really concerned about doing the right thing for you. And our experience is always great with Hoffman Brothers. And we're still going to have more hot weather as we traverse August. So make sure that you get that air conditioner tuned up and ready to go for the hot August and September here in St. Louis by going to Hoffman Bros and setting your appointment today, hoffmanbros.com. All right, we're headed down the stretch of this edition of the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carrie, Randy, we've got a balloon party with T-Mac and Ajax coming up. Cards and Twins tonight. Cardinals trying to hang in there.
By the way, I'm not sure what day it is, but I was listening to TMA, and someday next week, we're going to have an extra hour, everybody.
Oh, apparently?
So get excited for it.
When?
Yeah, apparently. I'm not sure yet. No one's told me. I just found out on my own. I just found out because I was listening to a show randomly yesterday. We're going to get an extra hour, Carrie. Okay. For a day next week, so get ready for it.
We have to work like a normal, because they fill in.
I hope it's the right day.
What day would that be?
Let me know. Not the 8th or the 9th.
Got it. All right. Let me write that down.
Keep that in mind. A great job today by our producer, audio engineer, Matthew Rocchio. Thank you.
Pleasure.
He was tickled by that.
Yeah, he was. Not
That was
the
really funny.
It was good. Brooke, this was fun.
Yeah, it was.
We'll do it again tomorrow. CD? Hey, and we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. What do we hear? I don't even have my... I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I'm ready to get out of here.
Because I hit the clip and you looked at me and I was like, oh, he doesn't have his headphones on. Okay, I get it now.
Headphones off. See, headphones off. Because we're running late here, and I don't want to take any more time away from Tim McKernan than we already have. Hey, have a great hump day. Thanks for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show for all of us. Until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great day, St. Louis.
That's right.
Hey, if you're looking for a great place for lunch today, or maybe a happy hour spot, or maybe dinner tonight, Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton is the place to go. They have a luscious menu that you will thoroughly enjoy. They have great wraps, great burgers and sandwiches, and delicious salads as well. Now, one of the things you need to do when you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill is try their trashed wings. They're the greatest wings you'll ever have. They're the greatest wings in St. Louis. Try them with their signature golden sauce, and you will absolutely love them and devour them. Another great thing about the Fenton Bar and Grill is that they're into sports, and soccer fans there. They're into, obviously, St. Louis City SC, but they also really are enjoying the Women's World Cup. So if you want to find a great place to watch the Women's World Cup games when they're available when the bar is open, head to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Tell them Randy sent you, and you'll have a great time there. Say hi to Alicia and Kelly and Megan and Jamie and Colleen and the whole crew. Greatest servers in town, greatest food in town, greatest place in town. Tell them Randy sent you when you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill.